Well, I'm on my voice. It is now Sunday morning, and the snow has not let up. It's about 6.5 feet deep, I think. And I'm held up here in the Jeep. I just want to come home.
This shaky emotional video was never meant for the internet. It was meant for a mother and for two 11-year-old twin boys who might have had to grow up without their mom. 46-year-old Paula Lane recorded it after days of being trapped in the mountains by a brutal snowstorm, convinced she might not make it out alive. Her voice is weak, her face gone, but she's calm in a way only someone who has run out of options can be. Just a few days earlier, on November 29, 2012, nothing about this trip looked dangerous. Paula and her 44-year-old boyfriend, Roderick "Rod" Clifton, were staying at his mother's place in Citrus Heights, California. Paula's mom had invited them for dinner in Gardnerville, Nevada. So they packed up, got into Rod's new Jeep, and started the 100-plus mile drive through the mountains. It was chilly but not freezing, around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, about 15 degrees Celsius. They were dressed for a casual day out. Jeans, light jackets, no camping gear, no emergency food, no extra water. Just a simple family dinner on the other side of the mountain. The drive should have been easy. They were even ahead of schedule, so Rod decided to take a detour to Burnside Lake, one of their favorite camping spots from the summer. He knew the area well, and he wanted to see how his Jeep handled the snow. When they reached the Burnside Lake turnoff, they found a blocked gate and a sheet of ice sealing off the road. The route was closed for the season. Rod looked at that gate, looked at the road beyond it, and made the decision that changed everything. Confident in his off-road skills in the Jeep, he drove around the barrier and continued up the snow-covered path. At first, it seemed like no big deal. The Jeep crawled up the trail, handling the snow without much trouble. They reached Burnside Lake at around 7 p.m., planning to turn around and head back toward the highway. That's when things went wrong. The snow near the lake was deeper, softer, and hiding ruts underneath. While trying to turn around, the Jeep's front left tire sank and got completely stuck. For hours, Paula and Rod dug, rocked the vehicle, tried everything they could think of to free it. No tow strap, no shovel, no traction boards, just their hands and what they could find. Nothing worked. As night pressed in, the temperature dropped sharply. The mild fall air they'd left behind was gone. Bitter cold wrapped around the Jeep. Their light clothing was no match for it. There was no cell service, no way to call for help, and no one knew they'd taken this detour. They had only a fresh bag of green tomatoes Rod's mother had given them, no other food and no drinkable water besides what they could melt from the snow. They made the only choice they had: stay in the Jeep, huddle together, and try to wait out the weather. But the mountains had other plans. That night, a powerful snowstorm rolled in. Wind, heavy snow, and freezing temperatures turned their situation from inconvenient to life-threatening. By morning, the Jeep was even more buried. On November 30th, after another failed attempt to dig the vehicle out, Rod made a desperate decision. If help wasn't going to come to them, he would go find it. The highway was nearly 6 miles long, about 9.6 kilometers away. Between him and that road, waist-deep snow in some spots and brutal mountain conditions. Rod wrapped his shoes in plastic bags to try to keep them dry, layered on every warm piece of clothing he could find, and promised Paula he'd be back in a few hours with help. She watched him walk away into the white. It was the last time she ever saw him alive. Back in the Jeep, Paula was alone and running out of strength and options. She rationed the few tomatoes they had down to 1 or 2 a day. For water, she ate snow, knowing it didn't hydrate well, but have nothing else. She dug through the Jeep for anything that could help. Blankets, extra clothes, anything she could wrap herself in to fight the cold. The storm kept pounding the mountains. The days blurred together in a haze of cold, hunger, and silence. No headlights, no snowplow, no sign of Rod returning. Hope started to thin out with every hour. When she finally picked up her camera and recorded a message to her family on December 1st, it was because she genuinely believed those words might be the last thing her mother and her twin boys would ever hear from her. But even in that moment, Paula hadn't completely given up.
My voice. It is now Sunday morning, and the snow has not let up. It's about 6.5 feet deep, I think. And I'm held up here in the Jeep. I'm eating a green tomato a day. I'm eating as much snow as I can remember to, and trying to stay warm. I just want to come home. Rod left Friday morning. Today's Sunday. Rod left Friday morning to go get help and didn't come back. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got hypothermia and frostbite, or if some critter got him. But I can't walk out in this because I don't have the clothing. I just want to see my babies and my mom. I'm so sorry that this happened. But as soon as the sun comes out, I'm going to have to try to make it. It's 7 miles and 6 feet of snow. I don't think I'm going to do so well, but nobody's ever going to find me here at Burnside Lake.
On the morning of December 2nd, the storm finally eased. The sky cleared just enough to make one thing obvious. If she stayed in the Jeep, she would die there. So she made a choice. She packed a backpack with whatever small tools she had. Scissors, a flashlight, bits of tape. She turned masking tape and tissue into makeshift gloves and socks. Then she opened the Jeep door, stepped into the snow and started moving. Walking was impossible. Every step drove her legs deep into the drifts. Her body was already weak from days of cold and near starvation, so she switched to crawling, using her backpack to help spread her weight over the surface. The progress was agonizingly slow. Hours passed. Her hands and feet started to go numb. She began coughing up blood. Staying conscious became a battle in itself. And then, as if things weren't bad enough, the snowstorm came back. With visibility dropping and her strength almost gone, Paula found a hollow tree, the only shelter she could see. It was filled with spiders and debris, but it blocked the wind and gave her a small barrier against the snow. She crawled inside and spent 2 more nights there, fighting off the cold, the pain, and the steady creep of hopelessness. Her last tomatoes were gone. Her body was shutting down. By December 5th, she knew she had one last push left in her. Either she tried again or she died in that tree. She crawled back out into the snow and forced herself forward. Not far from that tree, she found something that shattered her. Rod's body, half buried in snow. He had likely succumbed to hypothermia hours after leaving the Jeep, alone in the storm that first night. The grief could have broken her completely. Instead, it hardened into determination. She was not going to die there. She kept crawling. What Polly didn't know was that search efforts had started the night she and Rod had failed to arrive for dinner. But because no one knew about the Burnside Lake detour, search teams were looking along a huge stretch of highway instead of the hidden mountain road where they were stuck. The storm made air searches nearly impossible. Days went by without success. The one person who thought differently was Paula's brother, Gary. He remembered how often they had camped at Burnside Lake in the summer, and that small detail changed everything. On December 5th, he went there himself. Driving up that same mountain road, he spotted something moving in the distance, a figure crawling in the snow near the roadway. It was Paula. She was on the verge of collapsing for good. It had started raining, which meant hypothermia would have finished what the snow and hunger began if he had arrived even 15 minutes later. Gary rushed her to the hospital where doctors treated her for frostbite and the effects of prolonged exposure. Somehow, after 6 days trapped in the mountains, alone, starving, freezing, and convinced she'd never see her family again, Paula survived. She recovered, returned home, and now lives with a family she once had to say goodbye to on camera. Most of the time, helicopter videos fall into 2 simple categories. Either you get smooth, cinematic shots of mountains, oceans, and sunsets, or something so disturbing that it ends up on a horror or disaster channel. There usually isn't much in between. On the early morning of May 29, 2019, just after sunrise at 7:15 a.m., a woman in Preston County made a tense call to 911. She said there was a truck sitting in a strange position, smoke pouring out of it, and no sign of anyone around.
And 911, what's the address of the emergency?
I'm actually driving. I just passed a car on Shower Bath Road that's pulled over. They had smoke rolling out the window.
When the responding officer arrived, the scene felt wrong from the very first glance. The truck was fully enveloped in thick, dark smoke, but the cab was empty. There was no movement, no sound, not even footprints leading away from the vehicle. For a moment, it looked like a random mechanical failure or some freak accident, but the closer the officer stepped, the clearer the truth became. The inside of the truck wasn't charred by accident. There were slick traces of oil applied deliberately, coating the interior in a way meant to accelerate flames, not contain them. Someone wanted this truck gone, and they wanted it gone fast. Fire crews arrived almost immediately after the call filtered through dispatch. Among them was Fire Chief Perry Barlow, a man known throughout the county for decades of service. As he walked toward the burning truck, something in his expression shifted. His stride slowed. His breathing changed. It was as if he recognized the vehicle long before he reached it.
I saw the pickup. It kind of reminded me, my uncle's truck.
The registration was run on it.
Well, it comes back to what, Phil Barlow?
It was identified as Philip Barlow's truck.
That's my uncle. I'm thinking, well, why is my uncle's truck here on Shower Bath Road? Why isn't he here? What's going on?
Bucky was predictable, calm, and as steady as a man could be. If his truck was here, burning in an isolated spot with no explanation, something catastrophic had happened.
I've been trying to set it on fire.
The investigation of this fire, it was pretty cut and dry. When you see motor oil, still residual motor oil laying on the rear seat, it was deliberately attempted to be set on fire. Motor oil is a combustible, but it's not a very fast burning. It never got a good start.
Detectives pressed Perry for anything he could remember, and he explained that Bucky followed the same routine every night without fail. He worked long hours, often leaving between 12:15 and 12:45 a.m., always on schedule. When Perry contacted Bucky's workplace to see if he had shown up, the answer struck him like a punch. Bucky never arrived. His shift had gone unattended and no one had heard from him. A missing man, a destroyed truck, and a silence that felt deliberate. Everything pointed to foul play. Investigators combed the truck for hours, digging through the remains for even the smallest clue. When nothing turned up, they drove to Bucky's house just 15 minutes away. The doors were locked tight. There was no damage, no footprints, no signs that anyone had forced their way in or out. It looked as though Bucky had simply ceased to exist. With no immediate heads, detectives began reaching out to the people closest to him. One name kept surfacing: his longtime girlfriend, Mary Butler.
Got a phone call on May 29th that Bucky did show up for work and that they found his truck. I had 50 million things running through my head at that time. Where could he be? What should I do? I knew there was something wrong.
Mary arrived the following day after rushing from Indiana. She spoke with detectives immediately, shaken and afraid. She explained that she had talked to Bucky the night before he vanished. Everything seemed normal at the time. When she called again later that night and he didn't answer, she assumed he was working.
I just wish we could find him alive.
I know, I do too.
This is crazy. I don't want to be without him. I was at my mom's when Bucky called me when he was getting ready for work.
I told him that I would call him back. And 15 minutes went by, and I called him, and I didn't get any answer.
As hours passed with no response, the worry crept in. Detectives traced Bucky's phone, only to discover it hadn't traveled far from where the truck was found. Mary allowed investigators into his home, hoping something inside would explain his disappearance. But the house was untouched. No overturned furniture, no broken locks, no sign of a struggle. It was like he walked out the door and reality swallowed him whole.
It was about a half a mile from his house when it stopped transmitting. The direction it traveled was the direction he would have went to go to work. We searched the area for the phone, but we were unsuccessful in finding it.
Search teams spent the next 10 days sweeping forests, fields, and back roads. The National Guard joined the effort, along with canine units trained to track human remains. Then deep in the woods, a hunter stumbled upon something horrifying. A body, burned, mutilated, and barely recognizable, was lying not far from a creek bed. The only way to confirm its identity was through Bucky's dentures. The autopsy that followed would expose a cruelty beyond anything investigators had imagined. What happened to Bucky wasn't just a murder, it was torture.
We're just down here hunting, and we came across a body in the creek.
The creek is called Fortney's Mill. From Tunnelton, it's about a 20-minute drive to get there. Throat area. The jugular was cut, artery was cut, The esophagus was severed, trachea was severed.
Mr. Barlow was, for all intents and purposes, completely decapitated. He was just as brutally injured as you can imagine.
But the horror had only begun. Detectives soon realized they weren't just hunting a killer. They were unraveling a conspiracy, living right where no one thought to look, among Bucky's own neighbors.
You know, you don't want to believe that it actually happened. Nobody should die that way.
I was hysterical because I didn't want it to be true.
I lost my best friend. I'm not one to show emotional, but it tore me up inside bad.
When Mary mentioned an argument between Bucky and his neighbor Craig, detectives followed the thread. Craig denied having anything to do with his disappearance, but his alibi quickly broke apart. Witnesses contradicted him, timelines shifted, and stories changed. Everything around Craig felt muddy, but nothing directly tied him to the murder.
Craig was living in the back trailer behind Bucky. There always was bickering and fighting back and forth all the time. He would cut through the yard, and Bucky didn't like it. So that would cause arguments. So on Sunday, Bucky decided he wanted to cut the grass. And Craig had left some stuff on the grass. And Bucky had called me and told me about the scuffle. Then that's when he came up missing.
He denied that he had any knowledge or participation in anything that may have happened to Bucky. The night that Bucky disappeared, he said that night he had been working on the radio in the truck. He described the location. It's a back road.
I slept in that Ranger.
You slept in the Ranger all night?
Yeah.
Was anybody with you?
No.
I did question him, why would you sleep in your truck that night when your residence is fairly close? At some point, you're going to wake up in the night. Would you agree with that? You're going to be like, I might as well go home, I'm only 5 minutes away. And he described that that was not out of the norm for him.
I did not leave that spot.
Months passed before detectives realized there were two people who knew far more than they had said: Laura Martin and Robert Quinn, a couple living next door. Their initial statements sounded rehearsed, and when investigators learned the pair didn't own the air conditioner they claimed masked all noise that night, everything changed.
Yeah, it was a normal night. Yeah, we was in bed and air conditioning.
When both were arrested on unrelated charges, the walls began to crumble. Laura's story shifted. Robert contradicted himself.
Did you hear anything that night?
No. Like I told you then, I had the washer and dryer running.
Then detectives reviewed Laura's jail calls. Disturbing, manipulative conversations where she drifted between obsession, flirtation, and veiled threats.
You know what her relationship is right now with her ex?
No.
Okay, probably not exactly what you think it is.
You know what I need? You for about 20 minutes. You know I'm hitting it one more time, right? Better be thinking when I get out. Alright, I love you, baby.
Finally, when investigators confronted Robert with Laura's words, he broke. He confessed to everything. According to Robert, the plan had been Laura's. She was convinced Bucky kept retirement money hidden in his home and became fixated on getting it. During the robbery, she snapped and beat Bucky until he lost consciousness. They loaded him into his truck, dumped him deep in the woods, and set him on fire to cover their tracks. When Laura learned that Robert confessed, she quickly blamed everything on him. Their accusations collided, but one thing became clear: they were both involved.
Sideways, didn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Why did it go sideways?
She went over Bucky's by herself, and she was standing there waiting for him to get to work. And whenever he come off his porch, she grabbed hold of him, tried to rob him, and he put up a fight.
But they looked like regular guns. It was a struggle with all three of us. I mean, I wasn't gonna let him. Bobby pulled a box cutter out. And I'm like, what the f? Then I saw Bobby cut it. I showed Bobby. And I put my hands on Bucky's neck. And I'm looking at Bobby and I'm crying. And I'm like, please don't do this. And then Bobby's like, I'll do you too. And like, there was a look in his eyes I ain't ever seen in my life. And it scared me. It really did.
Then came the detail that put the final nail in the case. Multiple inmates reported that Laura bragged about the murder in graphic detail. She described the blood, the violence, even how she and Robert ate the sandwich from Bucky's lunchbox afterward. Their hands still stained from what they had done. It wasn't just murder, it was sadistic. Laura Martin and Robert Quinn were sentenced to life in prison, and the story still hangs over Preston County like a shadow. Evil didn't come from the woods that night, it came from the house next door. It was September 3rd, 2015, high in the Dolomites of Washington state. The morning sun dragged a pale line across the sky, scraping light over jagged rock and leaving the valley below in cold shadow. The centerpiece of that landscape was Dagger's Edge, a 3,500-foot vertical slab of stone that didn't just rise out of the mountains, it tore out of them, straight up like a knife driven into the earth. On a narrow ledge facing that wall, filmmaker Rico Alvarez knelt over his camera gear. He checked every latch on the tripod, pushed the legs into the bedrock, and steadied the frame like he'd done hundreds of times before. For 3 straight years, he'd been the silent third member of the team, capturing Eric and Jenna Linwood's wingsuit flights from angles that made viewers feel like they were right there, falling alongside them. Their channel wasn't mainstream famous, it was something else, almost underground. A cult favorite for people who chased risk from behind a screen. Eric was a showman, always pushing lines closer, lower, faster. Jenna was the counterweight, calm, technical, the one who knew every cliff profile and wind pattern by heart. Together, they turned free fall into choreography. But that morning, the air felt wrong. Jenna had noticed it at breakfast. The wind wasn't steady. It came in soft pulses, nudging the trees in one direction, then pausing, then shoving them back. Nothing dramatic, nothing that screamed call it off, but enough to make her uneasy. She mentioned it. Eric listened, nodded, and still walked right back to his plan. This descent was his idea, a razor-thin flyby that would thread him down the limestone face and split him into a narrow ravine at the base. Up on the ledge, they suited up. Rico watched them perform the same ritual he'd seen countless of times. Helmets buckle, wings zippers seal, quick tugs on each other's gear. One last look, one last nod, no dramatics, just practice trust. Eric stepped to the edge first. Rico tightened his grip on the camera. Then Eric jumped. The wingsuit snapped open, catching the air and inflating around his body. Within seconds, he was no longer a falling person, but a gliding shape, skimming down the cliffside. Through the lens, Rico watched him carve a line only a few dozen feet from the rock, tracing every contour like he'd memorized the stone itself. The first seconds looked perfect, smooth, surgical, control. Then Rico saw something in the distance. Far below, the tree line shuddered, not forward with the valley wind, but backward, as if something invisible had exhaled in the opposite direction, a subtle backward sway, the kind of detail only someone who'd stared at mountains for years would catch. The gust hit Eric mid-flight. His right arm snapped upward, the wing on that side collapsing for a split second. At that speed, a split second is enough to ruin everything. His body rolled left. He tried to correct, flaring his shoulders, shifting weight, searching for clean air. For one heartbeat, the trajectory looked like it might stabilize. It didn't. He pitched forward at a brutal angle. In the viewfinder, Rico saw a rock suddenly fill the frame. Then came the sound. One heavy, flat crack that bounced off the canyon walls. Eric's chest smashed into the face of the cliff. His body ricocheted once, twice, and then vanished into the forest below. Rico barely had time to process what he'd just seen, because Jenna was already in the air. She had jumped seconds after him, trusting the plan. From the ground, her line looked steady at first. She held more distance from the wall, flying a slightly safer track, but the wind that had shattered Eric's flight path hadn't gone anywhere. It just shifted a few degrees. As she descended, the terrain rose to meet her. Jagged outcroppings, pine trees, broken rock, everything rushed up fast. Jenna tried to bank right, searching for lift, trying to climb just enough to clear the next ridge of trees. But the air was dirty and turbulent, chopped up by the gusts slamming against a cliff. Her legs missed the first tree line by inches. The second line didn't miss her. A branch clipped her leg and spun her sideways like a rag doll. Her body slammed into another trunk, then pinballed through the canopy, wingsuit shredding against splintered branches before she disappeared into the foliage. Rico dropped the camera. He ran, down loose gree, through brush, slipping, sliding, grabbing at roots and rocks to keep from tumbling himself. It took almost 40 minutes just to reach the spot where Jenna had fallen. Her wingsuit was torn open along her back. She was crumpled on the forest floor, blood soaking into the dirt. She was still breathing, but barely. Rico called 911, voice shaking as he gave coordinates and tried to keep her talking. Her breaths went shallow, then ragged, then stopped. By the time rescue teams arrived and airlifted her away, she was gone. Eric's body took 2 more days to find. A helicopter crew finally spotted the shattered remains of his helmet, jammed between two ledges far below the flight line. The impact had killed him instantly. Within a week, the Linwood's channel went dark. Every video vanished, no farewell post, no announcement. Rico returned the hard drives to their family, then quietly walked away from the wingsuit world entirely. In the footage from that day, there is nothing dramatic about the moment it all turned. No lightning strike, no massive storm, just a small, almost invisible shift in the wind. One gust, one tiny change in the air, enough to erase 2 lives and end everything they'd built in 3 seconds flat. On the morning of October 15th, 2016, the day started like a dream for 2 friends, not a nightmare. 41-year-old Kevin Diepenbrock and his friend and co-worker Phil Palick headed out for a scenic ride through one of the most legendary stretches of road in the United States, a twisting 11-mile section of Route 129 known as the Dragon, right on the Tennessee-North Carolina border. If you ride motorcycles, you know the name. Over 300 curves, endless bends, carved into the mountains, surrounded by trees that warp the road in a tunnel of green. It's breathtaking and unforgiving. One mistake can send you off the pavement and straight into the trees or down a steep drop. Kevin wasn't a rookie. He had decades of riding experience. He respected the road, but he also trusted his skills. The plan was simple, a beautiful ride with a close friend. Just 2 bikes carving through the Dragon's turns. But the Dragon has no mercy for small mistakes. A few minutes into the ride, Phil went into one turn a little too hot. His speed was just enough to push him toward the yellow line. Crossing it would put him in the path of oncoming traffic, a head-on collision waiting to happen. So he did what many riders would do in panic. He grabbed his brakes hard to stay in his lane. On paper, that sounds like the right move. In reality, on a curve like that, it threw everything off. Kevin was right behind him. The visibility on that road is limited by trees, rock walls, and constant curves. You don't get long sight lines. You get flashes of what's coming next. By the time Kevin realized Phil had slowed dramatically, there wasn't enough time or space to avoid him. He slammed into Phil's rear wheel. In one violent instant, both bikes snapped sideways, leaving the roadway completely. Machine and rider together were launched over the edge and into a steep ravine, about 100 feet below the asphalt. Metal slammed into rock, bodies tumbled through brush and dirt. The sound of engines cut out, replaced by a sickening quiet. Phil didn't survive the crash. He passed away within moments, if not seconds of impact. But somehow, against every odd, Kevin did. He was broken, bleeding internally, and trapped at the bottom of a ravine far below the road. He couldn't stand, he couldn't walk. Every small movement sent a wave of blinding pain through his chest and back. He didn't know the full details yet, but later doctors would discover he had punctured both lungs, fractured 12 ribs in 17 different places, broken 2 spots in his spine, and suffered extensive road rash. Up above, life kept going. Cars and bikes roared by on the Dragon. Kevin could hear them. Engines revving, gears shifting, tires humming over the pavement. People were passing just a short distance away with no idea a rider lay hidden below, fighting to stay alive. He tried to yell. The damage to his lungs made it nearly impossible. Every attempt to shout felt like someone was driving knives into his chest. He tried to move into a more visible spot, but any shift in his position made him black out from the pain. Stuck between passing out and staying conscious, he was forced to lie there and wait. Minutes turned into hours. He checked his phone, no reception. He tried everything anyway, calling 911, calling loved ones, sending texts that might go out if a bar or signal appeared for even a second. He even tried to post on Facebook, hoping somebody might see it and realize something was wrong. Nothing went through. As the sun moved across the sky and shadows lengthened, the reality sank in. Phil was gone. He was badly injured. No one knew he was there. And as night approached, the mountain air would turn cold. He was staring down the possibility of a very slow, very lonely death. That's when he made a choice similar to Paula's. If this was how it ended, he wanted his family to at least know exactly what had happened and how much he loved them. He pulled out his phone and recorded a message. The first half was for his family and his friends. Words of love, apologies, memories, and gratitude.
Hey everybody. That's all I can really say. About 10:30 this morning. Been laying here ever since. Just want to say I love you guys. Sorry it's being stupid, but you know that's what I do. Mom, Dad, love you. Courtney, love you. Kurt and Marnie, Karen, Matt, love you guys. Take care.
The second half was for his dogs, who meant the world to him. As he spoke, you can hear his breath growing more strained. His sentences start to drift. That's not emotion alone, that's his injuries, slowly affecting his ability to think and speak clearly.
Take care of the puppies for me too. Give Kimber and Ruger lots of love for me. And Rocco, Notch, and Kimber. Rocco, Notch, and Tango. I miss you guys.
Most people would have given up after that. Kevin didn't. Even after filming what he believed might be his final goodbye, he kept fighting. Every time he heard a bike or a car slow down a little up on the road, he gathered whatever strength he had left and tried to yell again.
7 o'clock. Trying to use my flashlight to wave somebody down.
Darkness eventually swallowed the ravine. Temperature dropped. Dehydration set in. His body was losing fluid. His mind was slipping in and out of focus. Still, he refused to lie quietly and wait for the end. He knew that if the weather turned bad, if rain came or the night got much colder, he might not survive. He knew animals could move through the area. He knew his injuries were life-threatening. But as long as he could draw breath, he kept pushing.
I'm at 10% body, 10% battery. It's 11 o'clock. I love you. I don't know what to say.
Nearly 30 hours passed. 30 hours of pain, thirst, fear, and the constant sound of engines above him, just down a reach. 30 hours of wondering if anyone would ever look over that guardrail. 30 hours of trying not to slip into unconsciousness. Then finally, a break. The next morning, a young couple on a motorcycle pulled over near that section of the Dragon to take in the view. They cut their engine. The road suddenly went quiet. For the first time in more than a day, there was a silence above Kevin. He seized the opportunity. With everything he had left, he started shouting. He didn't know if they could hear him. He just knew this might be his only chance. Somehow his voice reached them. They heard something that didn't sound like the wind or wildlife. Curious and concerned, they looked down into the ravine and saw him. They called for help right away. Rescue teams arrived, and given the steep drop, a helicopter was needed to airlift him out. At the hospital, doctors discovered the full extent of the damage. Both lungs punctured, 17 separate breaks across 12 ribs, multiple spinal fractures, and severe abrasions. Yet Kevin was still alive. After surgery, treatment, and a long recovery, he was released from the hospital in about 3 weeks. He had survived a crash that should have killed him, a fall that should have ended everything, and a night and a half alone in a ravine where no one was even looking for him, all because he refused to stop trying to be heard. The next footage comes from January 1st, 2024 in Suzu, a city in Ishikawa Prefecture in Japan. Inside a vehicle operated by Chukai, a social welfare corporation that runs nursing homes, sits an employee and 6 elderly residents. For them, this drive is just another trip, another routine transport. But just ahead of them, something massive is about to be set in motion. This is the moment the Noto Peninsula earthquake strikes. The dashcam captures what most people only see in news recaps: houses shaking and collapsing, roads breaking apart, the ground itself shifting under tires. The video doesn't just stop at the initial impact, it also shows the resulting tsunami, water surging in after the quake, turning streets into rivers and swallowing everything in its way. Despite how terrifying it is, Japanese news sources later report that the driver manages to safely evacuate every elderly passenger from the vehicle. That means 6 vulnerable residents, 1 employee, all of them get out before things become even worse. There is one more person in the story though, a man riding a bicycle behind the vehicle. The available reports do not provide updates about what happened to him. His fate is left unknown, which somehow makes the footage even more haunting. It was a gray August morning in the Kamar-Daban mountains of southern Siberia. Fog clung to the ridgelines, the forest smelled like wet pine and cold stone. Rain from the night before still clung to the undergrowth, turning every step into a slog through mud and slick rock. This corner of the world, not far from Lake Baikal, doesn't forgive mistakes. It rewards preparation. It punishes arrogance. Leading the way was 41-year-old Lyudmila Korovina. She wasn't some casual hiker. She was a master of sports, a respected instructor, the kind of leader people trusted with her safety. That summer, she was guiding 6 younger hikers she knew well: 23-year-old Alexander Krysin, 24-year-old Tatiana Filipenko, 19-year-old Denis Shvakin, 17-year-old Valentina Utochenko, 16-year-old Victoria Zalasova, 15-year-old Timur Bapinov. They trained for months for this trip. The plan was ambitious. A long, demanding traverse across Siberia's backcountry. Not a casual day hike, but a serious expedition through remote terrain where help is days, not minutes away. On August 2nd, they set off from the village of Marino. After checking weather forecasts that looked manageable, they followed the Langatai River, moving deeper into the mountains. The first days were tiring but normal. Heavy packs, damp clothes, jokes traded on the trail. Then the weather turned. By August 4th, the rain came back with a vengeance. Cold, relentless, and heavier than expected. Trails became streams. Every rock and root turned slick. The group struggled to start a fire in the saturated air that night, huddling close for warmth. Still, they pressed on. They reached their planned summit the next day, a moment that should have felt like triumph. Instead, it became the beginning of something no one could explain. As they started their descent, something went horribly wrong. According to the only survivor, it began with a scream. Alexander suddenly collapsed. His body started convulsing violently. Blood ran from his ears and eyes. Lyudmila rushed to him, trying to help, but within moments she started showing the same terrifying symptoms. Panic ripped through the group. Tatiana gasped for air, clutching at her throat. In agony, she smashed her head against the rocks as if trying to escape her own body. Victoria and Timur tore at their clothing and skin, overwhelmed by some invisible torment before collapsing. Denis and Valentina tried to run, but Denis fell mid-stride, writhing in pain. In what felt like minutes, the tight, disciplined hiking group had turned into a scene of total chaos. Bodies on the ground, screams, blood, confusion. It didn't look like hypothermia. It didn't look like a simple fall or injury. It looked like they'd been hit by something sudden, powerful, and completely unseen. Valentina Udochenko was the only one who didn't collapse. She was terrified and alone. With no way to move her friends and no idea what had caused their suffering, she did the only thing she could. She walked away from the death zone and tried to save herself. For 4 days, she wandered the mountains alone, cold, exhausted, and in shock. She followed power lines when she could see them, using them as a warped kind of trail. Clothes were torn, her body bruised, and her mind stuck, replaying what she'd seen over and over. On August 9th, a group of Ukrainian kayakers spotted her near a riverbank. She was barely able to speak. They brought her to safety, but the search for the rest of the group didn't officially launch until August 24th. Helicopters finally located the bodies 2 days later. What rescuers found raised more questions than answers. The hikers were scattered, not all in one place. Some appeared to have died where they fell. Autopsies concluded that 5 of them had died from hypothermia. Lyudmila's death was officially blamed on a heart attack. On paper, it sounded like a tragic case of people caught in brutal conditions and succumbing to cold. But Valentina's account didn't fit that simple explanation. She described convulsions, bleeding from eyes and ears, people tearing at their own clothes and skin in blind panic. Those aren't the usual signs of hypothermia. As the story spread, theories exploded. Some pointed at the region's proximity to restricted zones and suggested secret military experiments gone wrong. Others argued that the group might have eaten toxic plants or mushrooms by mistake. Another theory suggested exposure to some kind of chemical or industrial contamination carried in the wind. None of it has ever been proven. Over time, Valentina avoided the press. For years, she refused to relive what she'd seen. shutting down interviews and declining to go into detail. When she finally did speak to reporters decades later, her story had changed in places, something that's not surprising given the trauma and the time that had passed, but enough to fuel even more speculation. Even the exact location varies between sources. Some reports place the tragedy near the Kongaroo Peak, others name different summits. The more people try to pin down every detail, the more the story blurred around the edges. The Kamar Dabin incident is often compared to the Dyatlov Pass tragedy of 1959, another group of experienced hikers in Russia who died in bizarre circumstances that still spark arguments today. Strange injuries, confusing evidence, no single answer that explains everything. In the end, all we know for certain is this: a highly skilled leader, 6 young hikers who trusted her, a descent that should have been routine, and a chain of events that turned into one of the most unsettling mountaineering mysteries in modern history. Only one person walked out of those mountains alive, and she still carries the memories no one else wants to remember. On July 17, 2020, 67-year-old Robert Bob Ringo did something that seems harmless at first glance. He pulled his truck over because a rock formation caught his eye. He was driving along the edge of Joshua Tree National Park in California, a place most people imagine as empty stretches of desert, punctuated by strange, twisted trees and massive boulders. For Bob, places like that weren't intimidating, they were home. He was an experienced hiker with decades of off-trail navigation behind him. He saw an interesting rock formation deep in the park, something unique enough to make him want a closer look. So he parked, grabbed his gear, and set off. It was about 5 p.m. in mid-July, when desert temperatures can still hover around 115 degrees Fahrenheit, about 46 degrees Celsius. For most people, hiking in that heat is a bad idea. The danger isn't obvious at first. You feel fine, then a little hot, then suddenly dizzy. Dehydration creeps up on you fast, and heat stroke can shut your body down without much warning. Bob knew all of that. Because this was meant to be a quick, hour-long detour, he packed light. About 2 liters of water, no real food, basic supplies. Under normal circumstances, it would have been enough, but what happened next was not normal. As he worked his way across rocky terrain toward the formation, he stepped onto a short ledge, misjudged his footing, and slipped. It didn't look like a deadly fall, no massive cliff, no huge drop, but he landed hard, directly on his left leg. The impact snapped his femur, the big bone in the thigh. Instantly, he was in extreme pain, the kind that makes it hard to think. When you break your femur, standing is nearly impossible. Walking is out of the question. Bob was suddenly stuck on the desert floor, exposed to brutal heat with no way to move normally and no one around for miles. He tested his leg, and each attempt sent a shock of pain high enough to make him almost pass out. If he blacked out and stayed down in that sun, his chances of survival would drop fast. So he did the one thing he could do. He calmed himself down. He splinted his leg with whatever he had, tying it lightly to reduce movement and give the bone some support. Then he built a makeshift shade structure from his gear and the landscape around him, trying to shield himself from the sun's direct rays. He called out for help, but the desert answered with silence. There was no cell service. 911 wasn't an option. Nobody was close enough to hear his voice, and he only had those 2 liters of water, which in this kind of heat would disappear fast. He spent the rest of the day and that entire night in the exact same spot. The heat sucked moisture from his body, and by morning, he'd used most of his water. His tongue felt dry, his lips started to crack. He pulled out his phone not because he could call anyone, but because he wanted a way to say goodbye if it came to that. He recorded a message for his family explaining what had happened, where he was, and what he tried to do.
Time in my life I've ever experienced no saliva.
In the recording, he mentioned something he'd never felt before in his life, a complete lack of saliva. It's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about how dangerously dehydrated he was. When your mouth is that dry, your body is already in serious trouble, and heat wasn't the only threat. Joshua Tree is home to venomous rattlesnakes and scavengers like coyotes. Lying injured and unable to move quickly puts you in a vulnerable position. Every sound in the dark becomes a possible danger.
Left hip, I can't move it for the pain. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up, but I'm sure they'll be out looking for me tonight.
But Bob also knew he'd done one very smart thing before he stepped off that short ledge. He'd texted his location to his son, Ryan, before heading into the park. That single habit kept a small window of hope open. When Bob failed to return, Ryan quickly reported him missing and gave authorities that last known location. By the next morning, more than 30 rescue workers were combing the area, on foot, on vehicles, and in the air. But but Joshua Tree is huge, and Bob wasn't on a marked trail. He'd gone cross-country toward the rock formation, which made him much harder to find. Lying still under partial shade in the folds of rock and brush, he was nearly invisible from the air. He knew this. He knew search teams would have had a hard time spotting him if he stayed where he was. So he made a brutal decision. With a snapped femur in extreme heat with almost no water left, he decided to move. He tightened his improvised splint as much as he could stand, then began to drag himself backward using only his arms, inch by inch, across jagged ground. Every movement risked sending a spike of pain through his leg. Every minute in the sun increased his risk of heat stroke and organ failure. But he also knew that staying put meant eventually being cooked by the desert. By around 11 p.m., exhausted and burning with heat and pain, he reached a more open plateau. There, he stopped for the night, hoping he'd done enough to make himself visible. That decision saved his life. The next morning, a rescue helicopter passed over the area. From the air, rescuers spotted something that stood out against a desert rock, a person lying exposed on the plateau. It was Bob. After roughly 40 hours stranded, injured, and fighting the elements, he was finally found and airlifted to safety. Doctors treated his broken femur and watched for complications from the heat and dehydration, but he pulled through. His leg healed, and he eventually returned to the thing that almost killed him, but that he still loved, hiking. Experience helped him survive, but so did two choices: setting his location before heading out and forcing himself to move when staying felt safer in the short term. It was October 1st, 1995. Niagara Falls roared like it always does. Tourists packed the railings on both the American and Canadian sides. Cameras lifted, ponchos flapping in the mist. Water hurled itself 167 feet down into the boiling basin, turning rock and river into white chaos. Among the crowd was 39-year-old Robert Overacker from Camarillo, California. He wasn't just there to watch, he was there to jump. Robert was a stunned school graduate. He'd spent years planning one single moment: a jet ski launch over Horseshoe Falls with a rocket-propelled parachute strapped to his back. This wasn't just about fame or ego, at least not entirely. Painted on the front of his jet ski were 3 words: save the homeless. He wanted the stunt to drag attention toward a cause that rarely made headlines. His brother, Michael Zurich, and his friend, Christopher Jan, waited with cameras ready. They believed they were about to film something spectacular: a clean ride, a safe shoot, deployment, a dramatic rescue at the bottom, and a story that would travel the world. At 12:35 p.m., Robert entered the Niagara River near the Canadian power plant. The jet ski's engine roared as he cut through the rapids. He aimed himself toward the lip of Horseshoe Falls with grim, focused confidence. He'd been here twice before and backed down. This time, he was committed. Tourists began to notice his lone jet ski pushing closer to the brink. One of them, German tourist Manfred Baldus, raised his camcorder, not yet realizing he was recording a death. As the edge approached, Robert lifted his arms in the air and let go of the handlebars, launching himself and his parachute rig into open space. This was the critical second, the one where the rocket-powered chute was supposed to fire and blew him open, slowing his fall and letting him drift into the churning water below. But nothing happened. The parachute didn't deploy. Later, investigators would suggest the rig may not have been properly secured to his body. For 5.6 long seconds, Robert fell. No canopy, no control, just free fall into the violent pool below. When he hit, it was like hitting concrete. At that height and speed, water isn't soft. For a moment, some onlookers thought they saw him moving in the rapids, clinging to hope that he was somehow still alive. It wasn't movement. It was the current tossing his body. Crew members from the Maid of the Mist boat were the first to reach him. They pulled him for the water and tried to revive him, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead at the Niagara General Hospital about an hour later. Robert became the 15th person since 1901 to intentionally go over Niagara Falls in or on a device, and the 5th to die trying. His jet ski message, "Save the homeless," outlived him, but not in the way he'd hoped. Decades later, the footage still circulates. You see him raise his arms, you see the drop, and you know that the thing he trusted most, the chute on his back, never had his back at all. But not everyone who dies near rushing water jumps by choice. Years later, hundreds of miles away, another camera would capture a very different story. It was a bright June day in alpine Utah at Horsetail Falls. Meltwater from the high ridges poured down the cliff in a silver sheet, loud and relentless. The trail to the falls, steep and rocky, draws hikers who like a challenge and want the reward of a close-up view at the end. 19-year-old Cynthia Ann Grimwood headed out on that trail with her small dog. She was local, a Springville native, a former high school softball player who loved being outside. For her, this wasn't some extreme stunt. It was a chance to clear her head, push her body, and enjoy a familiar kind of peace. just her dog, and the mountains. She hiked through pine forest, over roots and stones, following the sound of the creek growing louder as she gained elevation. But that day, the water was different. Snow melt had turned the usually manageable flow into a powerful torrent, stronger and faster than it looked at a glance. At some point near the water's edge, Cynthia stopped. Maybe she was filming the falls. Maybe she was cooling off. Maybe she stepped just a little closer to get a better shot. We only know what happened next because of her phone. Later, rescuers recovered it and found her final recording. You hear the roar of the creek, then nothing. No scream, no long struggle, just the sound of water and then silence. Around 3 p.m., 2 hikers approaching the falls noticed something that didn't make sense. A small dog stood near the river, agitated, refusing to leave. Nearby, Cynthia's phone and some personal items were scattered on the rocks. She was gone. They called for help immediately. Search and rescue teams from Utah County and the state moved in. Fire crews, a helicopter, and ground teams worked the canyon, but the swollen creek turned the search into its own danger. Fast, cold water can pin even trained rescuers against rocks, drag them under, and make every step a risk. As night closed in, they had to pull back. The next morning, they found her downstream, pinned beneath debris and fallen trees. The medical examiner confirmed what everyone already knew. She had drowned. Her dog, who had stayed by the area all night, was returned safely to her family. The same week, tragedy struck again nearby. A 12-year-old boy was swept away in the Provo River near Bridal Veil Falls. He was pulled out quickly, but didn't survive. 2 very different stories. One daredevil stunt at the famous waterfall, one simple hike near a mountain creek, ending in the same brutal reminder. Moving water does not care whether you meant to be there or not. It doesn't care if you trained for years or just wanted a nice view. Step too close, underestimate the force, and the line between "look how beautiful this is" and "this is the last thing I ever see" disappears in seconds. Last time you were at the beach, you probably saw bottles washed up, random trash, pieces of wood or plastic floating in the tide. Every now and then, something larger or more unusual rolls in from the sea. In this clip, what shows up on the sand is not just unusual, it's deadly. A group of people find a large spiky metal object on a beach in Sochi, Russia. Curious and seemingly unaware, they start rolling it around with their bare hands, almost like they stumbled across a strange playground toy. The problem, it's not scrap metal, it's a sea mine. These devices are built for war. They are meant to destroy ships and can cause massive explosions. Most modern sea mines are magnetic, but some older or specialized types, including certain Russian designs, can be pressure sensitive. That means movement or impact can trigger them. So watching this group casually push one across the sand, laughing and touching it, is beyond unsettling. They have no idea how close they might be to a fatal blast. Incredibly, nothing happens. There is no explosion, no devastating end of the video, but the clip is a chilling reminder how dangerous it can be to mess with objects you don't understand, especially ones that wash up from the ocean with a very specific, very deadly purpose. The next video was filmed in Nepal back in 2022. A group of people are traveling on a rough mountain road and, like many of us would, they decide to start recording. In the distance, you can see tall rock faces rising up above the road, the kind of place where you instinctively think, if anything falls from there, we're in trouble. But curiosity is a powerful thing. Instead of keeping their distance, they move closer and closer to the rocky slope, almost drawn to it. They want a better angle, a more dramatic shot, something they can post and show off later. That choice nearly gets them killed. Without warning, the mountain lets go. A landslide rips free from the slope. At first, it looks like loose debris, but then the true danger becomes clear. Huge chunks of rock, more like rolling boulders than stones, start crashing down toward the road. And instead of running away from the danger, these guys move toward it. They step closer, trying to capture the moment on camera before the reality sinks in. Only when the boulder starts smashing down with real force do they finally understand how bad the decision was. You can almost feel that split-second regret. They scramble to get away and somehow every single one of them manages to escape before the rocks reach them. It's the kind of clip that feels like a real-life attempt at Darwin Award that thankfully failed because everyone survived. A mirage is an optical illusion caused by atmospheric conditions, usually involving layers of hot and cool air. In deserts, you often see it as water on the horizon that isn't real, just light bending in a strange way. You might wonder why that matters here. You're about to find out. A driver in the Russian countryside is cruising down what looks like a normal road. Ahead of him, there is a darker patch that looks like a shadow or a wet section of asphalt. Nothing about it seems dangerous at first glance. He drives straight toward it. The problem is that the shadow is not a shadow at all. It's a massive hole in the road. He realizes too late that the surface in front of him is gone. The illusion created by lighting and depth tricks his eyes into thinking the road continues, when in reality, there is a huge gap waiting for him. The car slams into the hole. The impact is brutal and sudden. Somehow the driver survives this crash, but the experience shows how quickly a calm drive can turn into a nightmare when what you see isn't what's actually there. This next sequence is made up of a few different clips stitched together, all tied to one tragic event. On April 10, 2025, a Bell 206L4 helicopter flies over the Hudson River area near Jersey City, New Jersey. On board is a family from Spain, along with the CEO of the Spanish division of Seaman. What starts as a transfer flight becomes their final journey. In the footage, you can see the helicopter moving in a way that instantly feels wrong. Instead of smooth, controlled motion, it jerks, tilts, and shifts in a way that no normal flight should. Helicopters do not behave like that unless something has gone seriously wrong. Then midair, the aircraft begins to break apart. Pieces separate, the structure fails, and there is nothing anyone on board can do. The helicopter crashes into the Hudson River. There is no miracle ending here. No, everyone walked away. Every single person on board loses their life. The CEO, his family, everyone who trusted that flight to get them safely to their destination. The clips show the terrifying final moments, but they also serve as a stark reminder. When something fails at that height, there is often no second chance. You might have seen the viral video of people getting smashed by waves while standing too close to the Shantung River in China. That clip made its way across almost every platform, turning into a lesson about why you don't stand near that riverbank. This time, instead of replaying the original, we look at what happened next. Even after the incident went viral, people still showed up to do the exact same thing. The Shantung River is known for having the largest tidal bore in the world. That means the massive wave of water pushes upriver when the tide changes, and it can be incredibly powerful. Despite that, tourists continue to gather along the river, lining up for what they think will be impressive photos and videos. They pose for dangerous selfies, standing where they have no business standing. Then the wave hits. water surges forward with unbelievable power. People who thought they were just gonna get splashed suddenly find themselves knocked down, dragged, or slammed by muddy, churning water. Watching it, you can't help but wonder how many warnings people need before they take the danger seriously. The river doesn't care how many views a video gets. It reacts the same way every time. The next video comes from a dashcam, likely recorded on March 19th, 2025, near Bic Prison in Hong Kong. You're looking through the windshield of a car as it follows the road, and at first nothing looks out of place. Then you notice the vehicle in front. It's a Honda Civic Type R, a performance version of a normal Civic, built to be fast and aggressive. These cars usually make somewhere around the 300 horsepower mark, and they are more than capable of getting someone into serious trouble if they drive carelessly. That is exactly what happens here.
And we at?
The driver treats a public road like a racetrack. You can see the speed, the risky lane choices, and the lack of concern for anyone else sharing the road. As a car enthusiast, it's painful to watch. Modified or performance cars already get a bad reputation. Reckless driving like this only makes it worse. Then the worst case scenario hits. The Type R loses control and slams into another vehicle. Inside that other car is a 59-year-old man who has nothing to do with the stunt driving happening around him. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's taken to the hospital along with people from both cars. One of the individuals survives, but is unconscious at the scene. A fun drive turns into someone's nightmare because one person decided to treat public roads as their personal playground. Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 started like thousands of other flights do every day. On April 17, 2018, a Boeing 737-700 took off from New York, bound for Dallas, Texas, about 1,390 miles, or roughly 2,200 kilometers away. It was late morning. Passengers settled into their seats, pulled out headphones, opened laptops. Some napped, some read, some just stared out the window at the clouds below. Nothing about those first 20 minutes hinted at disaster. Then at 11:03 a.m., at 32,000 feet, about 9,800 meters, everything changed in a single violent instant. The jet's left engine suffered a catastrophic failure. One of the fan blades inside, spinning thousands of times per minute, finally gave out, a tiny fatigue crack. Too small to be detected during previous inspections, had slowly grown over time. That day, under the incredible stress of rotation, it reached its breaking point. The blade tore free. Traveling at insane speed, it slammed into other parts of the engine, ripping through metal, sending fragments out like shrapnel. The entire engine shook itself apart in a blast of noise and force. Some of that debris shot toward the fuselage and struck one of the cabin windows. It shattered. In the span of a heartbeat, a normal flight turned into chaos. The sudden decompression ripped air out of the cabin. Objects flew. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling. Passengers screamed. Sitting near that shattered window was 43-year-old Jennifer Riordan. The pressure difference partially sucked her out of the aircraft. Passengers raced to pull her back in, fighting the hurricane-like wind roaring through the opening. She was hit by more debris from the damaged engine. Despite their efforts, Jennifer's injuries were fatal. She passed away. While passengers around her fought to save her, the flight crew was facing a separate nightmare, a crippled aircraft with one destroyed engine and a compromised cabin, still tens of thousands of feet in the air. Among those on board was a man named Marty Martinez. In those first terrified moments, he had one overwhelming thought: I might not survive this. He thought about his wife. He thought about his unborn son. He thought about the people he loved who had no idea what was happening to him and how they might never get the chance to hear its voice again. So he did something that at first sounds almost strange. He bought Wi-Fi. With the plane shaking and alarm sounding, Marty took out his wallet, paid for the in-flight internet, and used the weak connection to start a Facebook live stream. The title he wrote said it all. Something is wrong with our plane. It appears we are going down. Emergency landing, Southwest flight from New York City to Dallas. In the stream, you can see the cabin in full panic. Oxygen masks dangle from the ceiling. Passengers struggle to get them on properly. Some cry, some pray. Others clutch each other's hands. The noise in the background is a mix of rushing air, mechanical warnings, and human fear. Marty doesn't speak on the video because he's wearing his mask and focusing on breathing, but he uses the connection to send messages to his loved ones. I want you to know that I love you all and thank you for all you've done. I'm so sorry. Our plane's going down. I love you guys. Later in interviews, he explained why he did it. In his mind, he had only minutes left. He fully expected a second explosion, a loss of control, plunge. Buying Wi-Fi and going live was his way of leaving proof that he was thinking about his family in those final moments and giving them something to hold on to if he never made it home. Meanwhile, in the cockpit, the pilots were fighting to keep the plane in the sky. The left engine was gone, the cabin was damaged, the plane was unstable, but the right engine was still working, and they were within range of Philadelphia International Airport. They declared an emergency and started descending as quickly and safely as they could, balancing speed, altitude, and control. On the ground, air traffic controllers cleared other planes out of the way and prepared for the worst. Later investigations revealed how close this came to being a far larger tragedy. Each fan blade in that engine weighs up to 11 pounds, almost 5 kilograms, and spins at about 2,200 and 4,500 RPM in flight. At those speeds, even a microscopic flaw can turn into a lethal weakness. The inspections being used at the time were good, but not quite good enough to detect such tiny cracks in some cases. On Flight 1380, that small defect turned into a full structural failure. The engine disintegrated, the cowling blew apart, the window shattered and a passenger was lost. But the second engine held. The pilots kept control. The damage, as devastating as it was, didn't cascade into a total loss of the aircraft. The explosion Marty braced for never came. Instead, after a tense and terrifying descent, the pilots brought the plane down for an emergency landing in Philadelphia. Fire trucks and emergency crews surrounded the aircraft as it rolled to a stop. Passengers were shaken, crying and emotionally wrecked, but alive. Jennifer Riordan was the only life lost that day. Her death led to changes in inspection procedures and renewed focus on engine safety, especially around fan blade fatigue. The story of Flight 1380 became another painful reminder that even routine flights rely on thousands of tiny details going right, and that one invisible flaw can change everything in seconds. For Marty and everyone else on board, it was more than a news story. It was the moment they realized how fast life can tilt from ordinary to unthinkable, and how every second after surviving something like that feels like borrowed time. Now we move to Brazil, where a man finds himself in a situation that is creepy on its own, but the way he films it makes it feel straight out of a horror movie. According to him, something strange has been happening in his home for a while. His wife has started sleepwalking. At first, it might sound harmless or even slightly funny, but as time goes on, it becomes more unsettling. Her behavior at night grows stranger, and he decides to record what's going on, maybe to show her later, or maybe just to prove to himself that he isn't imagining it.
Eu não sei mais o que eu faço com a minha esposa, gente. Olha aí. Olha a situação. Ela tem sonambulismo, tá? Sonambulismo. Junto com, não sei se é esquizofrenia, a gente vai ter que fazer uns exames para ver o que é, porque tá se repetindo várias vezes na semana, gente. Várias vezes na semana, tá? Não aguento mais. Se tiver algum especialista aí, eu vou...
The angle he chooses to film from does not help his nerves. He records from a position that keeps her partially in shadow, making her movements look even more unnatural and disturbing. She stands there in the dim light, body language off, presence almost strong, like something out of a paranormal film. It mirrors the monster from the movie Lights Out, lurking, half-seen, and absolutely terrifying. You can tell that even he is freaked out. The video doesn't feel like some staged prank. It feels like someone trying to document something that has been building up for nights, if not weeks. By the end, his fear wins. Instead of staying closer trying to wake her, he bolts. He literally runs away, leaving the frame and reinforcing just how disturbing the whole moment is, even for the person holding the camera. The next clip is a bit of a mystery. It was reported by Vietnamese news sources, but even after analyzing the footage, details like the exact date and precise location are unclear. What we do know is this: two cars are traveling along a road with a large truck beside them. Everything seems normal. No one is speeding wildly. There is no sign of incoming danger. Then, in a single second, it all changes. One of the truck's tires explodes. The blast catches the driver completely off guard. You can see him trying to maintain control, but with the tire gone at that speed, the truck becomes almost impossible to handle. It veers into the neighboring lane, slamming into the cars beside it. One car is completely destroyed, another is heavily damaged. According to the Vietnamese source that reported on this, there were no confirmed casualties or injuries listed in the coverage, no detailed follow-up, no official list of who walked away and who didn't. All we can do is hope that everyone in those vehicles survived the chaos that a single tire failure unleashed. When you're thirsty, you grab a drink, but doing it in the middle of a store robbery, that's a whole different level of strange. In St. Paul, Minnesota, a man casually strolls into a convenience store just like any other customer. He heads straight to the cooler, picks out a soda, and calmly walks to the counter. But the moment the second customer leaves, his entire mood flips. He pulls out a handgun, points it at the cashier, and demands the money from the register. He's so frantic, he even drops some of the cash on the floor while scooping it up. After grabbing the bills, he insists on getting the coins too, every last bit. And even while holding the weapon, making threats and ordering the cashier around, he refuses to leave the store without the drink he walked in for. So he grabs it and walks out as if the robbery was just another errand on his list. This clip comes from CCTV cameras on the Kangresk toll road in East Java, Indonesia. At first glance, everything is completely normal. Cars are driving through the toll area, people are moving about their day, some are looking at their phones, probably using navigation apps. That last detail ends up being important. A BMW suddenly appears, flying in from the end of the toll road at a high speed. There's no sense of caution, no gentle approach. The car rockets into frame and then loses control. The crash that follows is violent. According to reports, a 63-year-old man is driving the BMW, and his 48-year-old wife is in the passenger seat. After the accident, they claim that the instructions from their map are to blame. It's a strange excuse, but also a sign of the times. People rely so heavily on navigation apps that they sometimes stop paying attention to the real world. If the screen says turn, they turn, even when it doesn't make sense. In this case, that blind trust ends with a wrecked car and a destroyed toll lane. Whether the map was actually wrong or the driver simply misread it, one thing is obvious. The app did not take control of the wheel. The responsibility still sat with the person behind it. This unsettling footage comes from June 2024, captured by CCTV in a small unnamed village in China's Hebei province. At first, it looks simple enough. A guy is riding a scooter along a normal street, probably thinking about nothing more serious than where he's heading next. He barely escapes with only a few abrasions, minor injuries, considering what could happen. You've heard the warnings about untrustworthy nannies, but it turns out cleaners can be just as dangerous. In Essex, UK, CCTV cameras captured a 44-year-old cleaner rummaging through multiple clients' homes while they weren't there. She snoops through drawers, searches bags, and digs through personal belongings like she owns the place. She's not just looking, she's hunting cash, jewelry, lottery tickets, anything she can pocket quietly and slip out with. She had dozens of clients across town, which means she could have victimized a lot more people than anyone realized. Had it not been for these hidden cameras, her pattern of stealing could have continued for years without anyone catching her. She treated her clients' homes like a personal treasure hunt, never expecting that every move was being recorded. This next clip appeared on TikTok on November 11, 2024, posted by Mallory Hall. It shows a group of guys entering what looks like an underground storage room. The place appears abandoned, old, dusty, and not exactly welcoming. Still, they decide to explore. The stairs creak as they walk down. The light is limited. You can feel that something is off even before anything happens. Then almost immediately, things escalate.
Calm down. Look, come here. Get in the corner. Get in this corner. That's a big snake, son. I told you there was another one up there, man. Hold on. Will. We just gotta make sure there's nothing underneath this. Oh my God.
Suddenly, they're not just dealing with one snake, they're surrounded. Panic kicks in, voices shake. You can hear repeated calls to calm down, but that's easier said than done when venom could be just a few feet away. Later, the account that posted a video confirms that everyone in the clip ended up okay. Based on research, the snake appears to be pit vipers, which are highly dangerous and definitely not something you want to corner yourself with in a confined underground room. What started as a casual exploration instantly became a fight to keep distance from multiple venomous predators. This footage may be from 2010, but it's still shocking even today. In London, a group of masked individuals storm into a small shop like a coordinated swarm. Within seconds, every aisle becomes a target. They rush in with bags, backpacks, and pockets wide open, grabbing everything they can carry: snacks, drinks, cigarettes, electronics, whatever the store has. These swarm robberies rely on pure numbers. The criminals, no one or two employees, can't stop them. They pour in like a wave, overwhelm the space, empty the shelves, and vanish before anyone can react. Customers watching it unfold barely have time to step aside as the group tears through the store. It's chaotic, fast, and frightening. The kind of event that leaves employees shaken long after the doors close. The next short clip shows a man who comes dangerously close to what looks like a flying taxi, except it isn't a futuristic aircraft. It's a regular car that's supposed to be on the road, not soaring through the air. The vehicle has clearly lost control, and instead of staying on the ground where it belongs, it is launched off course and sent airborne. The man nearby ends up just a few steps away from being directly in its path. You can hear his breathing as the chaos unfolds. It's heavy, panicked, the kind of breathing that tells you his body is still trying to process the fact that he almost got taken out by a car that turned into a projectile. The clip is short, but the reality hits hard. One or two steps in the wrong direction, this could have turned into a fatal impact. Police were dispatched to a local hotel after staff reported an intoxicated Hispanic male who had allegedly tried to start fights with other guests inside the lobby. When officers arrived, they found the man outside in the parking lot holding a beer and refusing to leave the property even after multiple warnings from hotel employees. The interaction began calmly enough, but it became clear almost immediately that the man was heavily impaired. His speech drifted, he talked in circles, and he repeatedly gave answers that had nothing to do with what officers were asking. Each time an officer tried to clarify simple questions, such as whether he was a registered guest or what room he was staying in, he either became defensive or veered into unrelated topics.
Well, you can ask me a question, not let me answer.
Alright, so that's just telling you, sir.
Like, do you,
whatever you call about,
you guys all stay here?
it's not. Yes, sir. Yeah. But right here, this is Joe, man.
You what? Are you staying here at the hotel?
Yeah.
No.
We're just hanging out the whole time, right here at the curb.
Okay, but are you a guest here at the hotel?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're already guests at this hotel.
Bill, I am a guest here.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. He is moved from the property.
That's all right. Here, stay right here for a minute. I'm talking to you. What room are you staying in?
What?
What room do you stay in?
314. He went with me. He went with me. Yeah. What are you talking about, man?
I get that, but
are you talking about in a sexual manner?
no.
Is that what you're talking about?
I'm asking.
Are you talking
what
about
room
a
you
sexual?
here?
No, you're talking about a sexual manner. That's what we're talking about.
No.
No. Okay, that's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
The manner that we're talking about.
Can you listen to the things that I'm telling you?
No.
Because you're not listening. So,
I understand.
No. What room are you staying in?
Give me a second. Give me a second. You see that man right there? He's not talking about a sexual manner. The man's going on there.
No, a single person here said anything. So,
But
manner.
The way you coming to me
is because
it's like I'm trying to be attacked. Actually, you okay?
You what?
We're not being attacked.
Stay.
He worked with me. It's okay.
Okay, but
where? My partner,
what room here are you staying in?
314, man.
314. Was that hard?
Yeah. But the way you're coming at me.
No. Shut up, bro. Shut up.
I'm being attacked.
That's very weird and awkward that you somehow got that. So listen to what I'm saying. So you stay here at 314.
Yes.
So you stay here. How long have you been staying here?
More than a week.
Okay.
Our company.
And it's not that type of.
Okay.
Yes,
so.
Well, why are you coming at me?
No, shut the fuck up, bro.
Because once for the third time that I'm saying this, we got a complaint that you're too intoxicated by yourself out back here.
We're not gonna be intoxicated no more.
So listen to what I'm saying. Okay. They don't want you to stay here ananymore because you're causing problems.
But this is my partner.
I get that.
We're not gonna start that shit.
Listen to what I'm saying.
I get you. But we're not doing anything. That's what you came up to me.
So
like I was saying, trying to do something. That's the way I would be aggressive.
Do you have your ID with you?
Yes.
Where's it at?
It's upstairs in my room.
It's upstairs in your room?
Yes.
Okay. What do you have an ID out of Florida or another state?
I'm just gonna let you know. I got a lawyer.
That's fantastic. Once again,
if you want to talk to my lawyer,
once again,
before you talk to me,
what's your name?
For representation.
What's your friend's name?
You're not gonna represent me. No, you're not. You're not gonna talk to me before you're gonna represent.
2 seconds to give me the information that I'm asking you.
Are you okay, Roger, man?
Hotel staff soon approached the officers and explained that this wasn't the first disturbance of the night. According to the front desk employee, the man had been yelling at people in the lobby earlier and had approached at least 2 different women in ways that made them uncomfortable. Staff had already decided they no longer wanted him on the property and requested that he be formally trespassed. When officers relayed this to him, the man again insisted he had done nothing wrong. He claimed the hotel never asked him to leave and argued he should be allowed to go back to his room and sleep.
I'm about to put you in cuffs if you don't stop your shit.
You're not going to put me in cuffs.
We need your name.
Because I will put my lawyer on you. It's not going to happen. I will, I'm telling you, my will. I am going to talk to you.
They don't want him to stay here anymore, so that's not an option.
I'm not doing anything here.
Listen to me. Because you're having a really hard time because of how much you've drank to listen to me.
No. It's just, the thing is, I understand what you're saying. But in the manner that you're coming at me, it's not I have not done anything wrong. Okay, so I'm going to get my lawyer.
Are you guys just in town for work or something?
You want to give me my lawyer?
As officers attempted to get his identifying information for the trespass paperwork, he became more agitated, shouting about lawyers' rights and how no one understood what he was trying to say. His friend tried calming him down multiple times, but the man kept raising his voice and ignoring commands to stay back.
Trying to get my lawyer.
But I'm telling you right now,
my lawyer, right?
you're intoxicated to the point where you're about to go somewhere.
You're bro. Shit, said you're going to give a shit.
Let me handle it.
That's what he said. That's what he said, though. You don't give a shit. about my lawyer.
Let me handle it.
He don't give a shit about my lawyer. He said he don't give a shit about my lawyer.
I know, you gotta.
That's what he said.
Hold on, Diego. Hold on.
That's what he said.
Hold on.
He don't give a shit about my lawyer. I'm sorry, but that's my bro.
I know.
But he said he don't give a shit about my lawyer.
I know. Hold on, man.
That's what he told me.
Bring it down, man.
That's what he told me.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get my lawyer.
Do you know why we're talking to you?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I have been alcoholized, and my friends told me to go inside.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it is. That's what it is.
So the hotel is not wanting you here anymore. Is a problem.
Yeah, that's not what the hotel said.
That's what they're telling us.
My friend told me
That's what they're telling
that
us.
we're gonna go inside to perimeters that they talked about.
Well, so the hotel's
To
telling
go
us.
inside, to go to sleep.
The hotel's telling us that they don't want you here anymore.
Can I just go to sleep?
Well, the hotel's telling us that they want to trespass.
No, that's not what the hotel said.
That's what they told us.
I just heard the hotel.
Well, that wasn't the hotel. It was some hanging out from the store. The hotel is the girl in the green shirt.
The hotel. Was talking to you. Was talking to me.
Yeah, but I got to do what the hotel's asking me.
That's not what it said.
That's what they said, man. That's the whole reason that I'm here.
Yeah. And this boy right here talking about fuck me, fuck my rights.
Not fuck your rights.
That's what he said. That's what he said. No, that's what he said. That's what he said.
That's not what he said.
Oh yeah, that's what he care about my rights, right? That's all right, man.
Is he local?
Eventually, when he refused all verbal instructions, continued screaming, and tried to walk toward the officer and his friend, police informed him he was under arrest for disorderly intoxication and trespassing after warning.
I'm a person. I don't want to hear what you have to say, sir.
Okay.
We already heard it. We already heard it. We already heard it. What bad?
All right, man. So, Diego.
No, calm down.
Chill. Don't come over here. Do not come over here. You're going to go too.
Yeah, two fucking options. Hey, give my phone. Give my phone. Right here. Hey, it was Darius. Give my phone. Give my phone.
Stop me.
You gonna snap my phone up for me?
Yeah, you can't have your phone. You're under arrest.
I'm not doing anything.
No. It's his property. It's going to go with him.
You can have it, Darius.
That's going to go with you.
Once handcuffed, officers escorted him to a patrol car while hotel staff confirmed they wanted him trespassed due to the repeated disturbances. He was transported from the scene without further incident. According to case records, the man was ultimately charged with disorderly intoxication and felony-level trespass for refusing to leave private property after being ordered to do so. The disorderly intoxication charge ended in a conviction, while the trespass charge was later dismissed by prosecutors. It was January 5th, 2024. Most people were still easing into the new year, grabbing dinner, sitting with family, trying to forget about work for a night. Inside one small taqueria, it looked like just another quiet evening. People ate, talked, scrolled their phones. Nothing about the scene felt tense until the door opened. A man in a mask walked in like he already knew exactly what he was going to do. He did not wander. He did not hesitate. He moved straight into the middle of the restaurant, raised what looked like a handgun, and started barking orders. He demanded cash. People reacted the way most people do when they think their life might end in the next few seconds. One man in a gray t-shirt tossed money onto the floor without arguing. Two other customers slid out of their seats and ducked beneath the table, hands up trying to hand over their cash and stay as invisible as possible. The robber walked past them with the weapon still out. He never fired, but his body language said he could at any moment. He had total control of the room. At least, he thought he did. As he turned his back on that gray-shirted customer in the booth, everything flipped. The man in gray stood up in a single motion, pulled his own handgun, and fired multiple shots toward the masked robber. The sound echoes in the restaurant's audio, short, sudden, violent. The masked man dropped to the floor. Security footage shows the shooter stepping forward with purpose. He checks the robber's weapon, realizes it is there beside the body, and then begins telling the customers to pick their money back up. The clip even captures him gathering some of the dropped bills himself and placing them back on tables as if resetting the scene. Only later did investigators put a name to the man on the floor, 30-year-old Eric Eugene Washington. They also confirmed something else that complicated how people saw the video. The gun Washington had been waving around was not a standard firearm. It was a BB-type pistol that looked almost identical to the real thing. In a bright room with adrenaline pumping and a barrel pointed at your face, that difference is almost impossible to spot. The footage shows who moved where, who who threw money, who hid, who pulled the trigger. What it does not show is what went through the shooter's mind in the split second before those rounds left the barrel. That gap is exactly where the legal battle began. Police released a still image of the man in the gray shirt, and they wanted to talk to him. He left the scene before officers arrived, which raised even more questions. Through his lawyer, he contacted the district attorney's office and agreed to speak. The central question hanging over everything was simple but heavy. Did he commit a crime, or did he act in lawful self-defense during an aggravated robbery? Under Texas law, if someone reasonably believes they face a threat of serious bodily harm or death during a violent crime, they're allowed to respond with lethal force. A Houston lawyer and former officer Thomas Nixon summed it up on camera. He said that in his view, the shooter was the victim of a robbery in progress and that Texas law allows deadly force in that situation. The BB gun mattered to the headlines, but not as much to the law. As Nixon put it, you do not have to be holding a real firearm to put someone in fear of being killed. If you create that fear, you can still be shot in Texas. That principle shaped how prosecutors reviewed the video. They had the entire robbery and shooting on surveillance cameras, witness statements from people inside the taqueria, physical evidence showing the robber had a realistic BB-type pistol, clear images of the shooter leaving after the incident. All of that went to a Harris County grand jury. After reviewing the evidence, the grand jury declined to indict the man in gray. No true bill, no criminal charge for pulling the trigger. That decision ended the criminal side for the shooter. It did not quiet the debate. Some people watched the video and called him a hero. They saw a stranger who stepped in, stopped an armed robbery, and made sure everyone else walked out alive. Others saw something different. A man firing multiple shots in a crowded restaurant and then calmly picking up money, leaving before police arrived. To them, that looked less like clean self-defense and more like vigilante justice. Both views come from the same clip. The video also hints at how much worse it could have gone. A stray bullet could have torn through another booth. A round could have hit a worker behind the counter or a panicked customer trying to run. One ricochet, one small angle change in the tragedy might have involved an innocent family instead of the robber on the floor. Investigators always think about that side. Every shot fired in a public space is a risk that spreads outward. The same legal system that allows self-defense also holds people responsible when their bullets hit the wrong person. In this case, the investigation stayed local. Houston police handled the scene and evidence. The district attorney and the grand jury handled charging decisions. The FBI did not take over because the crime did not cross state lines, involve an organized network, or raise the kind of federal issues that trigger their direct involvement. Even so, the footage is the kind of clear primary evidence that federal agents study in other cases when patterns of similar robberies or shootings appear. For the people inside that restaurant, it was not theory, it was fear. You can hear it in their voices, on the recording, and in the interviews afterward. The man in gray throwing money, the customers hiding under the table. Those details show up in reports and on news clips because they came from people who lived through those seconds. The grand jury's choice means there will be no criminal trial where lawyers argue frame by frame in court. The video lives on anyway, online, in training sessions, in people's ads. For the robber's family, it is the last record of his life. For the shooter, it is a permanent reminder that one decision inside a small taqueria changed everything for everyone in the room. Now we move to Swan Hills, a town in northern Alberta, Canada. The footage is recorded in the early hours of December 2nd, 2024. At the start of the clip, everything looks quiet. It's dark, still, and nothing seems out of place in the neighborhood. The kind of calm that makes what happens next feel even more unreal.
I don't know, hon. Stay in the room. Please. Stay in the room. I can't in the room.
Then, without warning, an entire house explodes. The blast is massive. Windows shatter. Flames burst outward. Debris flies in every direction. The camera capturing all of this belongs to a neighbor who ends up with front row footage of a home being destroyed in a split second. Later, police confirmed that there were no injuries because the house was unoccupied at the time. That's one of the only reasons this clip isn't tied to multiple fatalities. Investigators believe a gas leak caused the explosion, but because this is still a fairly recent event, there isn't a lot of detailed information available yet. What you're left with is a video that shows just how violent and sudden a gas explosion can be, even in an ordinary residential area where people think they're safe. A bull has gotten loose and is not in a good mood. Someone with a BMW ends up crossing its path and the bull's reaction is intense. Instead of backing away or slowly moving off, it charges and attacks with full force.
Ai, Jesus amado, coitado do touro. Ninguém anda. Nossa Senhora. Meu Deus! Ah, tudo que eu precisava. Tomar no cu! Olha isso! Como eu vou explicar que um touro pulou no meu carro?
In the footage, you can see the bull slam into the car and even launch itself over it. The BMW gets badly damaged in the process. Panels are crushed, parts bent. It looks like something out of an action movie, but it's very real. For some reason, this video really doesn't favor BMW owners today. Between crashes and rampaging animals, they are not having a good time. What makes the clip even more surprising is what happens after. Despite the chaos and the violence of the impact, the people are okay. The bull is also fine. No one ends up seriously hurt. It's one of the craziest things you might see all week, and somehow, everyone walks away from it. The next video comes from Dudinka, a remote town in Siberia with a population of around 20,000 people. Towns like this don't often make international news. Life is usually quiet, with most stories never leaving the region. But this time, something happens that draws attention from across the world. A seaplane carrying 2 people takes off. At first, everything looks normal. The aircraft lifts from the water like it has probably done many times before, but just moments after getting airborne, something goes terribly wrong. The plane suddenly crashes. The impact is brutal and final. There are no survivors. Both people on board lose their lives in the water they had just taken off from. The event happens in early August 2023, and after initial coverage, officials announced that an investigation has been launched to figure out what caused the crash. But after that, updates dry up. No clear answers, no detailed public findings. All that remains for most people is this short, chilling clip of a seaplane's final seconds and the knowledge that 2 lives ended in that moment. On February 20th, 2003, the Station nightclub in West Warwick, Rhode Island was supposed to host nothing more than a loud, nostalgic rock show. The club was packed. More than 400 people squeezed inside the tight space to watch Great White play their retro set. Drinks in hand, friends laughing, the usual pre-show buzz. Just after 11 p.m., the band kicked into their opening song, Desert Moon. Their tour manager, Daniel Bicelli, triggered stage pyrotechnics. It was meant to be a simple effect, a burst of sparks behind the band to hype the crowd and give the small club a big show feel. Those sparks hit the wrong thing. The stage and walls around the band were lined with foam soundproofing. It was meant to keep the music inside the building. That foam was also highly flammable. When the pyrotechnics touched it, flames started crawling up the walls almost immediately. At first, some people clapped. Bright light and fire near a rock band can look like part of the show. People watch, some even cheer. Then the flames climb higher. Smoke thickens. The applause dies. Within seconds, the fire races across the ceiling. Thick, toxic smoke pours out, turning clear air into a black, choking cloud. The band stops playing. The sound system cuts. Screams replace music. Everyone inside makes the same decision: get out. The station actually had 4 exits, but most people only knew the front door. It was the way they came in, and in a panic, people moved toward what they know. Hundreds tried to squeeze into a single narrow hallway at once. In less than a minute, the front exit jammed. Bodies stacked in the doorway. People fell, got pinned, and were crushed by the weight of the crowd behind them. Others became trapped deeper inside as heat and smoke exploded through the room. The fire did not creep, it raced. The foam and wooden structure gave the flames everything they needed to spread. In about 5 minutes, the entire building was engulfed. Witnesses said breathing felt impossible. The smoke was so dense you could not see your own hands. Anything metal or glass became scorching hot. Outside, firefighters and bystanders watched as the roof glowed and then caved. Those who made it out staggered into the cold air, burned, coughing, or in shock. Many turned back and tried to pull others free from the pile at the front door, but it was already too late for most. 100 people died that night. More than 200 others were injured. Among the dead was Great White's guitarist, Ty Longley. Parents never came home. Friends vanished in minutes. The town and the state were left with a grief that did not fade quickly, and the country watched in horror as footage from inside the club played again and again on the news. The aftermath was brutal. Investigators went through what remained of the building and the paperwork behind it. They found that the foam glued to the walls and ceiling was not approved for that type of use and was extremely dangerous once exposed to flame. The club also had no sprinkler system, even though later reviews showed it should have had one due to renovations. Those sprinklers could have slowed the fire enough for people to escape. In the end, the picture was clear. Unsafe materials on the walls, no sprinklers, overcrowding, poor enforcement of fire codes. The club's owners, Jeffrey and Michael Derderian, had installed the foam themselves. Whether they knew how flammable it was or just chose not to find out, the effect was the same. Combine that with lax inspections and you get a room that turns into a death trap in minutes. Prosecutors charged the Derderian brothers and Bicelli with 200 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 1 count for each person who died or was severely injured. Bicelli, the tour manager who led the pyrotechnics, eventually pleaded guilty to 100 of those counts. In court, he openly apologized to the families, fighting through tears as he listened to victim impact statements. He was sentenced to 15 years, with 4 to serve and the rest suspended, followed by probation. He ended up serving a bit more than 2 years before being released, in part because many families asked for leniency, saying they believed he was remorseful. The Derderians later changed their pleas to no contest. Michael received a sentence similar to Bicelli's on paper, with most of it suspended. Jeffrey received a fully suspended sentence in community service. Civil lawsuits followed, eventually reaching settlements that totaled close to $180 million spread across survivors and families. Money could not replace those lost, but it was one part of acknowledging the chain of failures that led to their deaths. The station fire did more than destroy a building. It forced the country to confront how fragile safety really is when shortcuts pile up. Fire codes for nightclubs and similar venues were tightened in many states. Inspectors and owners started taking sprinkler systems, occupancy limits, and building materials a lot more seriously. Today, the site where the station once stood is a memorial park. The burned shell is gone. In its place are stone markers with the names of each person who died. Families walk the paths. Flowers sit at the base of plaques. The quiet contrast with chaos that once consumed that ground speaks louder than any speech. The footage from inside the club is still used in training for fire investigators and safety officials. Many say it's almost unbearable to watch. Fire moves faster than people expect. Panic spreads even faster. All of it started with a few seconds of sparks that hit the wrong wall. One small decision, one overlooked material, and an entire room full of people ran out of time. This clip was recorded by a YouTuber who goes by the name JoelZX6, a creator who usually posts bike-related content. In late September 2024, he's riding late at night, camera rolling as always. The road is dark but not empty, and everything seems under control. Then in an instant, another driver changes his life. A car in the lane next to him suddenly decides to exit at the very last possible second. Instead of signaling early and moving over safely, the driver cuts across a solid line and swipes straight into the biker. You can see the impact from the rider's perspective. The sudden jolt, the struggle to keep the bike from going down, the instinctive fight to stay upright. Somehow he manages to keep control. He stays on the bike and eventually brings it to a stop. That alone is impressive, considering how easily this could have turned into a fatal slide across the asphalt. What makes it worse is what the car does next. It doesn't stop, doesn't pull over, it just keeps driving. The whole thing turns into a hit and run, caught clearly on camera. The full footage is available on his channel, and the clip serves as yet another reminder how dangerous last-second decisions can be for anyone on two wheels. Teenager shoplifting isn't exactly surprising, but this thief doesn't fit the stereotype. Walking through the store in flowing robes is either a Buddhist monk or someone pretending to be one. The entire belief system of Buddhism strictly forbids stealing. So seeing someone dressed in those robes taking items off the shelf is a bizarre sight. He picks things up slowly, checks over his shoulder, and tucks the items away like he's done this before. If he is a real monk, he's ignoring one of the most fundamental teachings he should be living by. And if he is not, then he's purposely wearing the clothing of a peaceful faith to throw off suspicion. Either way, it's deception layered on top of theft. Train videos usually get attention when something is stuck on the tracks. Cars, trucks, or even people making terrible choices near crossings. This one is different. Here, the train itself is moving through danger. The footage shows a train traveling directly through an active wildfire. Flames line the tracks on both sides. Smoke fills the air. The world outside the windows looks like it's burning. It's a rare sight. You don't often see a train pushing through a scene like this. For the crew, it must be terrifying. They're responsible for tons of steel moving at high speed in an environment where heat can damage metal and mechanical systems. Smoke can limit visibility and impact breathing. Debris could be on the tracks at any moment. Despite all those risks, the train makes it through. There are no visible derailments, no breakdowns, and no clear evidence of collisions with anything on the tracks. But that doesn't make the clip any less intense. It shows just how small you can feel when you're surrounded by fire and your only option is to keep moving forward. It's rare to hear about a 10-year-old outsmarting a stranger, keeping himself safe, and handing police clear video of a possible abduction in progress. But that is exactly what happened in Pottstown, Pennsylvania on January 10th, 2024. For Sammy, it was supposed to be a normal walk home from school, backpack on, familiar streets, the routine path he knew by heart. Security footage shows him walking along the sidewalk when a woman starts trailing behind him. She does not rush or grab him. She simply matches his pace. To someone passing by, it might look like nothing. Two people walking the same direction. Sammy did not see it that way. His dad had talked to him many times about what to do if a stranger made him feel unsafe. Stay calm, trust your instincts, get to a safe adult, and speak up. So when he noticed the woman staying behind him for too long, his alarm bells went off. As he approached a small neighborhood store he knew well, Danny's Funky, he made a decision. He walked straight inside, went right up to the clerk, a 17-year-old named Hannah, and quietly said, "Act like you are my mom. This lady is following me." That one sentence changed everything. Hannah did not hesitate. She stepped between Sammy and the door, treating him like he was her own. She locked eyes with the woman outside and then shut and locked the door. The stranger tried to push her way in, but the door held. A few seconds later, the woman gave up and walked away. The entire moment is on camera. You can see Sammy glance back, tense but controlled. You can see Hannah moving quickly, closing the distance, making herself a barrier. There's no yelling, no chaos, just fast, clear action that kept a youngster safe. Police arrived soon after. They took statements, reviewed the footage, and identified the woman who had followed him. Instead of booking her on a serious abduction charge, authorities decided she needed mental health intervention. They arranged for her to be evaluated and referred to treatment. Sammy went home physically unharmed. His parents were shaken but extremely proud. His dad, Sam Green, later told reporters that they had practiced scenarios like this. They talked about what to do if someone strange approached him, what to say and where to go. Sammy remembered every part of that advice when it counted. He did not freeze, he did not run blindly, he found a safe adult and spoke up. The story spread quickly through local news and social media. Parents shared the video and replayed the scene with their own families. You can actually see the turning point in those few seconds when Sammy walks into the store and decides to trust someone. Police pointed out how easily this could have gone the other way. If Sammy had stayed outside or tried to confront the woman, she might have convinced him to walk with her or lured him toward a car or a side street. The risk is obvious once you imagine the next 5 minutes if he had not stepped into that shop. Instead, his quick thinking and the clerk's fast response turned a potential abduction into a story about preparation and community. For investigators, This became a textbook example of teaching young ones what to do before something happens, making sure they know which stores and adults are safe, showing how calm behavior can stop a threat without violence. The FBI and other agencies study cases like this because they highlight prevention, not just response. Sammy's actions and Hannah's instinct to protect are now used in safety talks and training as a real-world example. When asked how he felt about it, Sammy stayed humble. He said he just did what his dad told him to do and did not want to get tricked. That simple line says a lot. He was prepared, he paid attention, he acted. That combination is what kept him walking home to his family instead of becoming another missing poster on a wall. The next scene takes us to Brazil, where two people are in a small boat on the water. One of them is holding a long stick, poking at something just below the surface. At first, it's not obvious what he's doing or why he's so focused on that one spot. Then the reason appears.
Meu Deus do céu! Vem, Jane. Tu pensa que ele não pula e não te pega? É tua. Meu Deus do céu, olha o tamanho desse jacaré. Meu Deus do céu. Misericórdia.
A massive crocodile surfaces. This isn't some small reptile you might see in a zoo enclosure. It's huge, powerful, and very aware of their presence. The stick was their way of trying to keep it at a distance, but when it comes up, you can tell they underestimated its size and presence. They even refer to it as Godzilla, which honestly feels fitting when you see the scale. The scariest part isn't just how big it is though, it's how calm it seems. Instead of thrashing or fleeing, the crocodile floats there, watching them, almost studying them. The boat is small, the people are close, and the animal clearly knows exactly where they are. It's a moment where you realize how quickly that calm stare could turn into a sudden lunge and how little protection a thin layer of boat material really offers. Police were called to a hotel after management reported a disturbance involving a heavily intoxicated guest who had been yelling, banging on doors, and causing ongoing issues with other patrons. When officers arrived, the manager explained that the male who initiated the commotion had already driven off, leaving behind a woman who continued arguing and refusing to leave the property. The hotel requested a formal trespass order against both individuals, and officers approached the woman in her room to begin the process.
All right, just give me a few minutes. I'm going to go get her and tell her she needs to start packing, so. Yep. Are you leaving?
No, hell no.
All right, well, they just asked you to leave. You need to leave.
No.
The owners.
As soon as they made contact, she immediately denied any wrongdoing and insisted she had no reason to leave, despite being told repeatedly that management wanted her removed. She contradicted herself constantly, claiming she lived there, then claiming her employer paid for the room, then insisting she hadn't even rented it.
A night on the town for his little island friends. I'm not doing it here. Let's restart it. I'm sorry.
Do you not understand what I just said?
Yes, my room. This is my room.
Yeah, no, it's actually the hotel's room.
Okay,
and they
but
asked
who
you
bought
to leave.
it?
They asked you to leave.
Yes.
You rented it. You did not buy anything.
I didn't.
Okay.
My boss did.
Okay, doesn't
because
matter. Are you
I'm
refusing to leave?
No, hell
All right.
no.
All right, well, I'm not. Hold on, stop
I'm
talking.
a college
Stop.
graduate.
Ashley,
Please
stop.
listen to me.
Ashley, if you don't leave now, you're going to jail.
That's what I'm telling them.
Get your stuff, you're out.
But I gotta get my daughter too.
Well, you haven't done anything. You just keep playing with your phone. You're not doing anything.
Her uncle took them. They live on the island.
Okay?
What am I supposed to do?
Go out there and wait for him to
Honey,
pick
we've
you
been
up.
coming out for 5 years.
I
What do you
don't
want me
care.
to do?
It has nothing to do with that.
Okay, can you give me one minute though?
I asked you before to stay.
I didn't buy this room. I did not
go-
pay for this room at all.
All right. If you're not going to leave, because we're not going to go back and forth.
I never paid for this, but I'm not saying anything. We've been here for 5 years. Listen, we're here for Hurricane Ian, okay?
Okay, I get that.
Listen, just chill, man.
I am chill.
Okay.
I was chill the first time I came
Okay,
here.
guys get drunk on the beach. Just
Okay.
chill, man.
You're drunk right now. What's the difference?
I am?
Yes,
No,
incredible.
I've been watching kids all day.
Okay, you're stone cold sober.
I bet it on my.
Alright, well, you're gonna lose that bet. No.
Right.
What do you think?
That's why this is my room. This is my. Daddy.
What's your name?
Renee. Ashley Renee. Honey, they won't let me take the room because you guys everything up for you guys.
The officers tried multiple times to explain the situation calmly, but the woman became increasingly emotional and incoherent. She rambled about hurricane relief work, insisted she had been sober and caring for a young one all day, and began referencing family members on an island, none of whom were present. Her behavior escalated further when she called someone she described as the person who booked the room. She tried to hand the phone to the officer, demanding he speak with a man on the island, insisting he had authority over the situation.
I need you to hang up the phone.
We are at the hotel. Yes, honey. You talk to the officer. He's right here.
We're not talking to anybody.
He's right here. Look, he said, am I with the man?
I need you to hang up the phone.
Take him outside the hotel room. Why would you leave me here? Well, it's your hotel. It's your island. It's your family. Here.
I'm not talking to anybody. Ashley.
You want to talk to nobody?
I need you to hang up the phone and gather your belongings.
Yeah, y'all booked the room. Oh, it's our room on file.
So you have some. Or do you have any belongings in this room?
He won't let me. He won't talk to you. Here, he said it's the hotel. It's the island people like here.
No, they don't own the hotel.
They don't want it. They don't want it.
Do you have any belongings in this room?
My daughter and all them, yes. Yes, we come here every weekend. And we've been doing hurricane relief since last December of last year.
So I'm going to ask you again. Gather your belongings.
Gather my belongings, he said. I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I don't know, sweetheart. Oh, what else do we do?
Get your stuff.
It's hurricane relief.
Hang up the phone. Get your
He
stuff.
He said her.
Get your stuff.
Hang up the phone and get my stuff.
Yes.
Oh, the property pays for our stuff, not us.
Get your belongings.
He said, get your belongings. He pointed.
The officer reminded her again that the hotel owned the room, not her and not anyone on the phone, and that refusal to leave would result in arrest. After many warnings and countless attempts to gain voluntary compliance, officers reached a final point of no return. They told her clearly that if she did not hang up the phone and leave immediately, she would be arrested for trespassing after warning. She continued arguing and stalled yet again, refusing to move.
Please hang up already on who?
I think it's already hung up.
No, okay.
Ashley, I'm going to say this one more time. Last warning. We're either going to walk away and you can figure out your belongings later.
We're not from here, honey.
We're either going to walk away.
No, we dropped $1,500 on us. Why?
Hands behind your back.
No, it's my daughter. What are you doing? What? Why?
You want to go down?
No, I'm not even from this county. I bought my daughter for a birthday present.
All right.
What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? It's my birthday present for my daughter.
She's going to slip.
Yeah, she's going to slip. For who?
Stop moving.
I'm not moving. I paid this. Sean Lloyden.
Right there.
Yes, I'm not from this county. I just paid $2,000 for my daughter.
Good? Yep.
Yeah, help me.
Get up.
For what? For my daughter? Wait, please. Please, yes. Hey, it's my daughter's birthday. Wait. Wait, it's my daughter's birthday. Wait. No. I'm not a drunk. Hold on. I paid $1,500.
No, we've tried talking.
For who?
We've tried talking to you.
For who?
What do you mean?
And?
We've tried talking to you.
And you talked to my husband?
No, I didn't talk to him.
Yes, you did. On speakerphone. Yes, you did.
Your wallet.
What do you?
Got your phone in your wallet.
Okay, but did you let my husband know when my daughter's 9th birthday? We just booked his birthday tonight. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? I'm not even from this state.
Watch yourself.
What are you doing?
During transport, she rambled about being taken away from her young one, claimed officers were slime balls, stated she was from out of state, and accused one of attempting to traffic her child. None of her statements aligned with the facts already confirmed by the hotel.
I'm getting arrested for what? For what?
Trespass after warning.
Trespassing? I have a room here. My room is on this here. My room. I'm trespassed?
Yep, now you are.
Prove it. Okay, Dad! Dad, prove it! I'll prove it! I'm trespassed! I just walked here. Baby, please tell him I'm
Talking
fucking...
to a sergeant. He's not your
No.
Get in the car.
Devin!
Pull away again.
Can you let my daughter... Baby, I just got here an hour ago.
Sit up.
Gia, it's her 9th birthday. I'm sorry, Gia. Gia.
Sit up.
Gia! No, I come here every week. A week for what? Jeremiah! No, I was in my room. No, y'all snatched me. Oh, you weirdos. Baby! Babe, I just booked a hotel.
This disturbing clip was recorded in Toronto in July 2022 at a construction site. On scene, there's a crane operator and another worker responsible for securing the load. It's a normal workday, heavy cargo, ropes, routine communication, until it isn't. The man on the ground is attaching the cargo, trying to make sure everything is tied correctly. Somewhere in that process, his hands become tangled in the rope. The crane operator, high above and likely unable to see the fine details, doesn't realize that anything is wrong. He begins lifting the load. The problem is that the worker is still attached.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, hang on! Hang on! Just let your heart have full, bro! Holy Jesus Christ. Is there a swamper there? Like, somebody tell him to stop now before he gets crushed by the...
In seconds, the man is yanked off the ground, dragged upward along with a pallet. You can hear the panic in the voices of the people nearby as they scream for the operator to stop, begging him to lower the load before the man is crushed or dropped. But by the time everyone understands what's happening, the worker is already high above the ground, hanging under the cargo. He is pulled all the way up to around the 23rd floor. The fear he must have felt in that moment is hard to imagine. One mistake, one missed signal, and now his life hangs on a rope in the hope that nothing slips. He ends up injuring his arm, but somehow he survives. As of the last update, an investigation is underway to figure out exactly how such a dangerous error was allowed to happen in a professional site with trained workers. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant, friends. When you step into an abandoned building, the last thing you expect to find is a fully operational service room, but that's exactly what YouTuber Shie stumbled upon in February 2018. The video begins with him perched atop a tower overlooking an industrial zone. He then makes his way into a seemingly deserted structure, empty, lifeless decay. Inside, he finds the remnants of what once was a vacant auditorium, a dusty ping pong table, and silence. As he ventures deeper, he descends into the building's cold, dimly lit basement, and that's where things take a turn. Hidden below is a room still humming with power, blinking lights, active hardware, servers quietly running. He picks up a phone. There's no dial tone, just the unmistakable sound of disconnection. Yet the servers are very much alive. Then he finds a dated computer tower, plugs it in, and powers it on. The screen lights up, Windows 95 boots, followed by a sudden flash of black code and a login screen. Unsure what to do, Shie follows suggestions from his live stream chat and hits cancel. To his surprise, it lets him in. He pokes around the system briefly, exploring files, but unease creeps in. Muttering about a possible secret government operation, Shie unplugs the machine and quickly leaves the building. Was it paranoia, or did he stumble onto something hidden in plain sight? Whatever was on that computer remains a mystery, unless he decides to return and dig deeper. Years ago, the Bureau of Land Management released a public service announcement titled Stay Out and Stay Alive, warning the public about the dangers of exploring abandoned mines. The PSA highlighted real threats like sudden cave-ins, unstable explosives, wild animals, and oxygen-deprived tunnels. But the most haunting part of the video was the true story, an actual footage of a tragedy that took place years earlier. On July 4th, 1998, a group of young men discovered an abandoned mine in Nevada and chose to explore it for fun. What's eerie is that from the very beginning, the group seemed to know deep down they were making a dangerous mistake.
As you see Briz pointing out, stay alive. It's a good point, but we're not too smart, so we're gonna go anyway.
This is an unsafe mine. Danger.
Still, the thrill of exploring a place long forgotten proved too tempting to resist. As they pushed further into the mine, the risks escalated. The group crossed decaying wooden bridges, each step a gamble, yet they pressed on. Along the way, they passed clear signs of previous cave-ins, warnings that should have sent them back. But in pursuit of curiosity or adrenaline, they ignored the danger and kept going deeper into the darkness.
Look at all this. There's lots of rocks and stuff that have fallen from the ceiling, which indicates that probably not a good idea to be walking this way. And,
well, they've already fallen, so they're not going to fall again.
Well, there's more to fall still.
It's important to remember that these weren't trained professionals with experience navigating hazardous environments. They were just a group of young guys chasing a thrill and filming the adventure. But what started as a fun idea could have easily turned deadly. At any moment, they could have fallen into a mine shaft that dropped hundreds of feet or gotten hopelessly lost in the maze-like network of tunnels. And as time passed, that possibility started to feel more and more real.
Yeah, we got to remember where we're... Okay, we got out here.
Who painted these X's in the clip? Grant. What do they mean? Dead ends and stuff. Okay, they're all got an X on them. We can go this way. That one's got an X. But it's also got that. What does the diamond mean?
Where's that go?
Goes down.
Along it.
Ooh, that's not a little. Well, it'd be kind of hard if you slipped and fell, you could catch yourself before you actually fell down there. Not if panic set in and you spin like a little.
Toxic gases and lingering radioactive elements posed another invisible threat. Exposure to either could have caused long-term health problems or even kill them on the spot. Yet somehow they managed to avoid all of that and push deeper into the mine. But just when it seemed like they were in the clear, they stumbled upon something that had the potential to end everything in an instant.
Got them pipes. Oh, wow. We have to climb that?
Yeah, don't everybody get up. I got it. You're gonna be the lucky one to fall. This is going to America's Funniest when somebody falls.
That's a good idea. Alrighty. Oh, that's table.
Don't touch that. Up the ropes. The main shaft.
Wow, so we're climbing down this rope.
Yeah. How far down?
How are we getting out of it?
Climbing up it.
I see.
Despite having barely any rope climbing experience, they pressed on undeterred. Driven more by thrill than caution, one of them, named Adam, volunteered to go first. What happened next was captured on their camera, and it shows just how quickly curiosity can spiral into catastrophe.
How far down does it go?
All the way down to that ladder. See where it's going down? Like a good 30 feet.
Where am I going to hook this camera?
I'll go first. I am. About 300 feet. You don't like to break out. You don't like to... Put it like he's doing it in your mouth. Yeah. It's all like this. Is it off now? It's not.
How am I going to get this thing down there? Yeah, but how am I going to get back up? I don't have...
Hey, good. Give you my belt. Stretch on.
Whoa. Adam!
Oh! Adam!
Hello?
Adam!
Yes.
Adam!
Oh, God. Oh, God. Somebody help.
The rope Adam relied on was dangerously frayed, and the moment he shifted his full weight onto it, it snapped. He plummeted 65 feet into the dark shaft, losing consciousness on impact. By some miracle, none of his injuries were fatal. His friends, shaken but determined, managed to exit the mine and call for help. What followed was a tense, hours-long rescue mission. Against all odds, Adam was pulled from the shaft alive. The fact that they made it all out without a single fatality is nothing short of astounding. That shaft could have easily been over 100 feet deep, Or Adam could have struck his head during the fall and died instantly. Worse still, if the rope had snapped while the last person was climbing down, the group might have been trapped with no way to call for help, slowly succumbing to starvation. Thankfully, the outcome was far less tragic. A few broken bones, cuts, and bruises. But the lesson remains. Curiosity can kill, especially in places like this. Joyride robberies and carjackings have become all too common these days, but there's a reason semi-trucks aren't often the target. In this case, the would-be thief quickly learned why. As soon as the driver realized what was happening, he took control of the situation by flooring it, speeding off with the suspect clinging on for dear life. The man can be heard pleading to be let off, but the driver, clearly fed up, kept going, seemingly intent on teaching him a lesson he'd never forget. Back in Time is a YouTube channel run by a couple named Chris and Meg who document their explorations of forgotten, decaying places, abandoned hospitals, old schools, and crumbling homes that time seemed to have left behind. One day, while studying old satellite maps, they noticed something unusual, an isolated farmhouse hidden deep in the countryside. It was barely visible from the nearest road and looked completely overtaken by nature. Judging by the thick overgrowth, it hadn't been touched in decades. Intrigued, they packed their cameras and headed out, expecting to find the usual collapsed ceilings, peeling wallpaper, rusted furniture, and from the outside, the house delivered exactly that. Broken windows, ivy swallowing the walls, a structure on the verge of collapse. But once they stepped inside, it felt different. The floors were rotten, the air was stale, and the rooms were filled with dust and decay. Then they noticed something stranger, dead birds. Not just one or two, but dozens scattered throughout the house, untouched and oddly intact. Still curious, they made their way to the second floor. That's when things took a turn they never expected.
Thin, narrow piece of carpet that comes all the way across. Absolutely nuts. It will come into this bedroom here. And wow. What an absolute beauty this place is. Try to get the light a bit better on there, but look at that bed. The ultimate frame. So they've still got the old bag. That's what the old people use these days, don't they? Get all their shopping in. Little table there with a few bits. Loving that wardrobe.
I'll just squeeze and talk to you. Can I help you?
Oh my god! Help! You're alive!
You are?
Fuck.
You live in here, you can't live in here. Yeah?
No!
We can't.
We thought it was abandoned. We thought it was abandoned.
You can't live in here.
Holy shit! Are you okay? We thought.
How did you get in?
There's a window that's open downstairs.
Window open? Yeah.
Yeah.
Open window. What we do,
we do
take
videos on.
pictures of like old farmhouses because we're really interested in it. Oh.
We thought it was abandoned because of this.
No, you live in it.
Oh no.
Why do you live in here? Is there no way you can go and look at it? Do you not think it's a bit? It is, yeah. You not got family? No. You haven't?
Oh Jesus Christ!
I've got anybody.
You scared the life out of me. You literally scared the life out of me, man.
What do you think we can do to help you?
Where are you from?
We live in
Hamptonshire.
I don't know where you know, we don't know. I've not got any kids and not got any grandkids.
Whose farm is there?
Yeah, it's farm there, yeah.
So is this not your farm then?
No.
Is this your house?
No.
It's not your house?
No.
So do you just live here then?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm sorry. We didn't realise, because of all the cobwebs and all the decay, we just assumed that it was abandoned.
Yeah. No.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What food? How do you eat?
Where?
How do you eat food?
Yeah.
Do you eat food?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
At the end of a narrow hallway hidden inside what looked like a child's bedroom, Chris and Meg discovered something that left them speechless. A bed that was clearly still in use, and lying in that bed, surrounded by layers of dust, rotting walls, and an unsettling number of dead birds, was a woman. Her name was Jane. She was elderly, frail, and strangely serene, as though she had long since made peace with the decay around her. What unsettled the couple most wasn't just that she was alive in such grim conditions. It was how normal she made it all seem. Jane explained that she had lived in that house since 1993. She had originally come to help someone out just for a few days, but never left. She said she had enough food, mentioned a husband and a brother, and assured them everything was fine.
I was going to say to you, we're going away for the weekend, but we're back on Sunday or Monday. If there's anything that we can come and give to you, so we're only down the road.
Do you need any food or anything?
Like, if we can come and drop something off on Monday or something for you, anything like, they're your slippers?
Yeah.
Do you want some new? Do you need some new slippers? Do you need anything?
Get you some new slippers and some nice blankets.
No, I'm alright for blankets.
But look at them, they're horrible.
But I've got some new ones.
Why don't you use them?
Well, I will,
Yeah, I think you should. The thing is, and your pillow as well, the thing is, everything is damp in here, it's going to make you ill.
Yeah, you will end up
It's going to make you
on
really
your chest.
ill.
This guy's a dumb house, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. That's what I mean. And you're going to get ill. You've not got any family at all? No one? No? Have you ever had a husband? Were you married or?
Oh yeah.
You was?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, if we could, do you sleep most of the day then?
Yeah.
You do? You just sleep?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, on Monday, we drop some bits round. Can we drop you some
bits
new
round?
Slippers and some food?
No, I don't want you to.
I know, but you know what? If I had room in my house, I'd tell you. I'd say, "Come on, you come to live with me."
Oh.
Honestly, I would. Because look at the state of this room. Look at the state of this house.
Chris and Meg, still trying to process the surreal moment, gently offered to help, maybe call someone or even just clean up. But Jane declined, her voice calm and unwavering. "I'm all right," she said. "You don't need to worry." It was a moment that left a mark, not just because of the place, but because of Jane herself. The way she lived, the calm certainty in her voice, the way she said everything was fine, even when it clearly wasn't. Chris and Meg did what any compassionate person would do. They contacted adult social services, unsure if Jane had simply fallen through the cracks or if something more sinister was at play. But the response they got was unexpected. The agency told them they were already aware of Jane. They didn't elaborate, didn't explain why she was still there, only that she hadn't been forgotten. And for reasons they couldn't share, she had been allowed to remain. Left with more questions than answers, Chris and Meg eventually said their goodbyes. They thanked Jane for letting them in, told her they'd return if she ever needed anything, and quietly stepped back into the light. But as they walked away from that crumbling farmhouse, they couldn't shake the unease that followed. Maybe it was the eerie stillness of the place, maybe it was the dozens of dead birds, or maybe it was something deeper. Something about a woman who had lived for decades in isolation, wrapped in silence, memory, and dust. To this day, no one really knows who Jane had come to help all those years ago. No one knows why she stayed, or what truly happened in that house. All anyone knows is, she didn't want to be found, and yet somehow, she was still there.
Whoa! Stop the car!
On On the morning of January 27, 2024, a police officer patrolling in Waukegan, Illinois, spotted a stolen Hyundai Elantra sitting in a Starbucks parking lot. Inside the vehicle were two people, both sound asleep. The driver, later identified as 27-year-old April Rains, had no idea her quiet nap was about to be abruptly and dramatically interrupted. You don't want to miss this.
Hey, you don't see anybody in it, do you? Is there? All right. Asleep.
Get out the car. 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 Get out the car.
Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up.
Get out the car.
Out. Come out right now. We're gonna pull you out. Get out of the car. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Come out. Come out right now. We're gonna pull you out. Get out of the car.
Pull out. Pull out. Pull out. Pull out.
Get.
Pull out. Pull out. Pull out. Pull out.
Whoa! Stop the car! Get him! Get him!
Get out of the way. What?
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Hey, I didn't
Get on the ground.
Listen to the suspect's plea as the cops get him.
I didn't do anything now. Sir, I didn't do anything. I didn't even fight with you. What am I getting in trouble for? Can I please sit?
No, you can stand in a second.
Ow,
My man. Stop resisting. Hey, can I get one more over here?
Can you please just stop?
Put your hands behind your back.
I'm trying to just...
Put your hands behind your back. Kramer.
All right. Can you just let go for a second so I can...
Ow! Stand still, my man.
Milo, watch that guy. Watch that guy. Watch that guy. Get out the car, bro. Kramer, keep your pedal on it.
Hey, put your gun away. Put your gun away. Don't have to.
Get out the fucking car, man!
Just let her go. We're not gonna jump on it.
Break the window.
Stop!
Get on your face. You're under arrest. Do not move. Do you understand?
Joshua was charged with resisting a peace officer and trespassing in a vehicle. He was booked at the station and released shortly afterward. During the incident, April struck one of the officers with the open car door, breaking his ribs. After being brought to the Criminal Investigations Division for questioning, she attempted to escape by climbing into the ceiling and injured another officer's hand as they tried to pull her down. She was charged with aggravated battery causing great bodily harm to a peace officer, aggravated battery of a peace officer with a deadly weapon, aggravated battery causing great bodily harm, 3 counts of aggravated assault of a peace officer, criminal damage to property, 2 counts of aggravated DUI, improper use of registration or title, reckless driving, operating an uninsured vehicle, and driving without a license. In March 2025, April was sentenced to 7 years in prison for the incident. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant, friends.